Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fight Night Rising. We are back. This will be our last set 3 Fight Night before we move on to set 4 TFT Fates, but we are still in the galaxies for now, and along with me is Boopasaurus. Boop, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing absolutely wonderful, especially since I've got a couple friends I'm going to shout out just real quick. Ricardo and Samson, I know that you guys are watching right now, and I'm so happy that you are able to join us here. But I'm also happy that we're going to be able to close out Galaxies together right now. This is probably the last Galaxies tournament until we get to 3.5, which comes out, I believe, in a week. Maybe we'll get one next
Yeah.
week, but and we got to give it's a good old swan song. Maybe we'll get the Big Bang Galaxy to close
Ooh.
things out. But as of right now, this is kind of like we can kind of pretend, right? This is to rule the galaxy this week.
Yeah, it really is. I kind of haven't it didn't really even cross my mind. Like this might be the last tournament, on set 3. So do kind of want to go out with a bang. I know, casting a little bit ago in the Big Bang Galaxy was super, super fun. There's so much action going on, but who'll be bringing this action are our 8 wonderful players that we will be seeing here tonight. We got a few returning faces. We got Barrybadden, Eren TTV. We got Icandyyyy. I believe it's her first time competing in Fight Night, so curious to see how she does. Jingleee, MrBobert, PapaLevTV, THGSpencerZ, and Wolfeyvgc returning from a not too hot performance last time, but hopefully has, grinded a little bit and,
I forgot
can
about
bring
that.
out, yeah, can bring out some good competition here tonight, I'm sure.
Um, Actually, I believe, yeah. So Wolfie is, if you guys are wondering at home, Wolfie is the Pokemon Wolfie here.
Yeah.
I got some inside info on his training coming up from the last time, which was he's got a little bit of a coach in the Pokemon
Ooh.
community. The last time he was here, though, he had only been playing for like 3 weeks. So now that we've got an entire set, I'm expecting some better things. The other thing that you definitely need to look out for is MrBobert. And this is a little outside of the play, but more on what's on his noggin because he's got the best hats in esports,
True.
folks. So that's definitely kind of like a mini game we'll play. But as of right now, it's going to be pretty cool to see kind of like what comp is going to reign supreme at the end of Galaxies and who will end up coming out on top. And we aren't playing for nothing, Crowan.
That is true. We are playing for the portion of the $200 prize pool. First place getting $100 of that. Second place 50, and third and fourth place will receive $25. And as always, the top 3 will be invited back for next week. Boom. You got some inside info there. You said Boop about the trading. That's pretty neat. What are we gonna see some hot stuff here today? Like, how much info did you get?
Oh, everything that I had, I just told you. So,
Oh, okay. You
so
leaked it
other
all
than that,
already.
that I've used all of my info. That's
Got you.
that you can't let it out too quickly. But I guess I don't like to listen to my own advice. But the one thing that I definitely wanted to mention about that more so than anything is someone like you, Crowan, is Wolfie, which is a multi esport athlete coming in from the Pokemon world. I actually think that's a pretty latent type of transition, the way that the thinking processes work in terms of how your actions are going to affect future actions. And if Wolfie's going to be able to bring that together and be a little bit more intentional with his play, he'll find himself not in eighth place as many times. So we're going to start out with Big Bang. Look at that.
We
How
are.
perfect is this? And a complete item carousel to start. And we're going to be going to our defending champion, Eren.
Ooh, true. Eren played very, very, very well last week. Curious to see if, can repeat that performance. I know this is with the addition of the Big Bang Galaxy. There has been, a bit for these players to get used to it. So I'm sure that they all have some games on this galaxy. The pacing of it is, pretty similar to Trade Sector, but you have a lot more gold. So there's a lot more things that you can do. I know even just a few days ago for the Galaxy's Championship, we saw a bunch of comps we wouldn't usually see, even things like some TF Caitlyn re-rolling for kind of reminiscent of like, kind of like Candyland-esque, but not really
Yeah.
Candyland, no poppies in there, but still there is going to be a lot of interesting things people can do on this galaxy.
As Aaron, it does pick up the Jeweled Gauntlet, which actually isn't terrible on Nocturne. But I think the biggest thing here is this is 3 different galaxies, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why you're seeing all the items pop out, if you guys are wondering, it's the same as Trade Sector, Treasure Trove, and blanking on the last one right now. Khroen, you got me?
Trade Sector, Treasure Trove, and Super Dense.
And super dense. That's right. So it's going to be a lot of cash, a lot of units. And when you're also getting units from orbs, right? You just saw the casket sold for 3 extra gold to level up our Jarvan with an eco already in the field. Like, think about how much stronger everyone else just starts the game.
Yeah.
And that kind of describes this galaxy is it's kind of like an accelerated pace. I wonder if that means the game lasts longer. I don't know.
Well, it depends on if you low roll or if you're high roll, I guess, because people who are very strong early, if you are weak, you're going to be taking a ton of damage. I think overall it would mean a more accelerated game state, people taking that much more damage. But we'll see though, maybe everyone's strong and people only lose by like 1 or so units and it could get stalled out that way. It really just depends there. Eren does have a pretty strong start, those you're mentioning in that Jarvan already, and a Nico. Nico and Star Guardians are gaining a lot of popularity. You know, as this set kind of comes to a close, we're probably going to see a lot of players go for something like some Star Guardian protectors, and with a Jarvan 2 already, to supplement that extra front line, a really strong start here for Eren.
You know, the hard part about this galaxy though is it's moderately easy to get a strong start. I feel like the mid game is kind of like where things start really separating because
Yeah.
there are more units on the board, a little bit more damage, and that's not really the basis of what I'm saying. It's more of everyone's going to get on solid footing a little bit quicker, and it's going to be about power levels, I think, moving forward and how you work with the increased power level across the board. Because look at how many like 3-cost units are just there
Yeah.
for Eren right now.
Oh, exactly. I mean, the Nico and the Cassiopeia. Cass was sold, of course, but even the Ashe now on this bench, choosing actually to not level to 4 here, as Eren's opponent Jingle does. So we'll lose this round, it looks like. Jewel Gauntlet actually on Jingle as well, with a Gunblade, though. That Darius going to be farming up some gold, perhaps. And Bard there to farm XP. Haven't seen too much Bard recently, but going to be a solid 4th unit there to throw in.
You know, the thing about Bard too is like, are you gonna miss Bard next set?
Like me
'Cause
personally?
I think the coolest thing about Bard is it did enable some comps like Piva and some
Yes.
fast leveling. And on this, I don't know on this galaxy like how much of a win more opportunity Bard's going to give you because everyone's going to be rolling in the dough and have a lot of items and units. So what is Bard going to be adding to any comp really?
Yeah, I think actually Bard is not going to have as much effectiveness as he usually would. Usually Bard's gonna let you, breach that gap and allow you to econ a lot slower, I suppose. And with increased gold generation, because it is treasure trove, people are going to be, getting to that, 10, 20, and then up to 50 gold a lot quicker. So the value you're getting for Bard is inherently a bit less. It's still good and it's still going to be value, but yeah, just not so much. As we look, oh, PapaLev over there is actually 1 Zoe away from Zoe 3, and we see Eren's 2 Jarvans away from Jarvan 3. So already seeing the makings of a lot of 1-cost 3 stars, and I bet all of these competitors were paying attention to the Galaxy's championship, so knows that you can make comps work out of just, whichever 1 cost you're hitting early game. You can just kind of
Mhm.
throw them in there and win games almost. I think there was one that, yeah, it took a close second in the Galaxy championship, but still strong either way.
So we have legitimate Candyland right now for
Yeah.
Papa. This is the exact Candyland build from eons ago, really. I wonder where
Hmm.
this is going to end up. Maybe cybernetics. Like this, the thing about this particular setup is we actually saw this maybe the last fight night where there are just certain comps they think are harder to transition out of. And if you're not going to commit to something like this, it's going to be a little difficult to kind of find your way. I think cybernetics is one of the easier ways to go. You've got the Ludens for the Lucian if you want it a little bit later, but you also have Star Guardians all over the bench and 0 gold. So it doesn't seem like you're going to be looking away from this particular Star Guardian comp, and it's going to be the Leona that ends up popping out. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree in the sense that I think all these units are going to be kept for now. Gonna try to find that Zoe 3 and then Poppy 3, TF 3. Some people, when they used to go Candyland, I know would keep the Leona in and 3-star her. And there was a couple of patches ago, a few patches ago, I believe, some changes to one cost at their tier 3 level. And Leona was one that did receive some buffs. So when you get her to tier 3, she's not quite like, for lack of a better word, just as useless. She kind of just like sits there and doesn't really, do as much as she should for 3 cost. But now she does, and she mitigates more damage there. So we might see PapaLev try to go that direction. Actually, PapaLev's already level 5. Never mind. I think that point kind of goes out the window there. Probably, yeah, already still has the Leona. Didn't quite notice that
Yeah.
until now. But we'll still be looking for these Zoe 3 at least, and probably still the Poppy 3, I would imagine. But choosing to level up to remain strong just because of the aggressive nature of this Big Bang Galaxy, though.
Totally agree. And I love aggressive galaxies like this. And the thing about Trade Sector too, that was like it kind of increased the aggression, but with Super Dense and Treasure Trove also in the mix, again, everything's just going to be a little bit accelerated, especially at the early game. And I think you actually kind of saw the effect of that with that Syndra literally tickling that Leona just like a quarter health. Maybe previously we wouldn't be seeing this many tier 2 units right now. We would be seeing this tanky of a front line, even
Yeah.
though PapaLev is going to end up winning. That's just a really good example of the power difference that you're going to see here at the early game. But the big thing here is that PapaLev's got the Ludens on TF, which I think is great, especially early on to help you go. But that's the type of comp that is going to fall off, especially a little bit later, as we get into some cybernetic snipers right now and a ZZ Rot on the Fiora.
Yeah, no, definitely. Personally, I'm really curious to see how Icandyyyy does, but she's off to a strong start already. I know she's been climbing the ladder,
Been
as
grinding a
set
lot.
3 kind of, yeah, I've been grinding a ton as set 3 comes to an end with a lot of success to be honest, like pretty high challenger, at least top 50. I'm not sure, I haven't really checked recently, but definitely has been climbing that challenger ladder. The cybernetic start is great. Having a Leona 2, Fiora 2, as well as 2 Veins already, and a Vi actually on the bench. So really only needs
Echo and
2,
Aurelia.
yeah, Aurelia and
Lucian.
Lucian. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to in my mind search just so much set 4 in my mind. I'm
I
trying to
know,
think back
right?
to
It's like
all
being
of my
bilingual right
cybernetics.
now.
It
We're straight
really.
up like we're like at the UN translating for people. But I think the core of what you're saying is correct. Like we've already got some of the bigger cybernetic units here. We've got a good component on Vayne. Anytime you see a bow, you're going to be thinking of a couple people, and Vayne's definitely one of them. And
Yeah.
we're already getting to 4 cost units at times. So the Irelia might be able to just pop, and if you hit, then Icandyyyy is going to be doing great because the meme is cybernetic loss streak, but that's not what we're seeing right now. We're seeing 100 HP right now for her.
Oh yeah, we're seeing the exact opposite, which is exactly the spot that you want to be at if you're playing cybernetics. I think we see another cybernetic player there. Yeah, actually a Vayne 2 Icandyyyy scouting from THGSpencerZ. So a little bit of contention there. I know during the Galaxy Championship we saw a lot of players still going for cybernetics, and I was doing a bit of thinking about it, and I think that as we reach the close to the set, it's kind of, for more or less, it's like solve. People know what comps are good. There's still a good variety, but cybernetics is strong, kind of consistent, and like really easy to pilot. It's not too much that you can go wrong with cybernetics. There's only so much in terms of the the pivots that you can go. Like you're gonna put in what, like a Riven or like a Wukong later on. So yeah, it's just kind of just self-explanatory, kind of plays itself sort of thing. And Icandyyyy has a strong start enough to whereas you aren't really gonna deviate that much from it unless you're gonna go something interesting like a double Zephyr as we see here. Boop, what do you make of that?
I was about to say there's going to be some tanky gals in the front line here with that Leota and Vi with that Ionic Spark too. I mean, this is actually probably going to bring her even more victories at the beginning stages here, and I like that she was a little aggressive with her spending. It was. Because you got to stay in the lead at this point, especially if I think if you're that cybernetic player. But
Yeah.
I mean, the Fiora with the ZZ rot, so you get a little bit of a safety net there as well. Because Fiora, I always like to say, is like an unintentional tank, right? You put her in the
Yeah, no,
front
it's
line just to
true.
take a couple attacks, get one riposte off, and then probably fall. But with the ZZ rot early, I think it kind of compensates for her then now being an actual tank. And we all know how good Vi is with Ionic Spark, so the Double Zephyr is going to get stronger as time goes on, but it's just very interesting that you commit to the Double Zephyr because Blitzcrank's not necessarily somebody you see at the end of this comp.
Yeah. No, I think it's true, and actually some interesting adaptations that. Ooh, this is interesting. Choosing to put a Fiora in, I guess, is the strongest board, and putting the force of nature, just to give those stats. I think that's a really good little tech move there from Icandyyyy. But as I was saying, there's been some people that have opted to go Blitzcranks with cybernetics recently. Hadn't really seen too much of at least NA do it, but other regions started to do it a little bit, and it worked out because you're not really going to be planning for a cybernetics player running Blitzcrank. It's like, okay, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be running those Rivens or those Wukongs, maybe a Shen, if they want the extra
Yeah.
tankiness. But Blitzcrank's kind of catch people off guard still. Like, you can be a really good player, and all these players, competing here are, pretty strong players, but it still can catch them off guard at some point.
But it's kind of like one of those like fool me once, shame on shame on
True,
you, fool me
true.
twice type things. It's one of those things that works once, but if that one time is the last round or something like that, and you just blanked on it, then it's worth, right? We take
Yeah.
those. As now we're getting into a couple more adjustments, pushing in at that Jace for the Vanguard, and then wanting to econ a little bit more. The fact that we just saw Icandyyyy lots for the first time, and we're still sitting at 50 gold is actually very, very good news for her. But outside of the game, really, and since we've all been focusing on Fates, it's actually really interesting to see cybernetics so popular. I don't remember. I think the last time we saw this many people favoring this comp was months ago.
Yeah. I guess so. I'm not really super sure why. Maybe it's, oh, I see a bunch of people playing it, in Galaxy Championships, so I'm gonna, do that. Or yeah, I don't really know what came into that with that
Yeah.
mindset. Very
Cybernetics
interesting.
Cybernetics tend to have Omni players as well. And so same thing like with Rebels. Like there are people who just play Rebels, just play Cybernetics. I think the most famous Omni comp is Yordles from back in the day.
Hmm.
There are people who only played Yordles, and I hope you all are suffering. But that was really mean. I take it back, kind
That
of.
was wow, Boop. Oof. You
I
just,
just really don't like Yordles, man. I'm usually so happy like this, Mr. Chonk. I'm doing my casual cosplay, and
love it.
maybe I gotta do a little bit of a drum beat here to get back on the horse. But now we're looking over at Jingleee, which is actually a pretty great name now that I've said it out loud. I'm really excited to see what other scenarios we're going to have because we have a level 2 bard here, right? We're seeing protectors with a lot of pretty good Darius items. The thing about seeing Darius is the last thing you want to see is Teemo, but I haven't really been seeing a ton of Astros right now. So maybe the lobby might
Yeah.
have to adjust a little later because as Jinglee's scouting through, I'm not really seeing all that much that's going to hurt the Darius as much as the Teemo would.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I think that Jingleee will sell off this Darius, eventually. Just wants to farm some gold for now. I mean, we see the Star Guardians on the bench there, right? So this will be a transition at some point. The Gunblade is great for this Syndra. The only thing that's really lacking right now for Jingleee in this potential transition is the lack of a blue buff. Does have one tier though, but needs to get another tier over the course of the next couple of neutral rounds and next carousel. Oh, a bunch of gold there. I think it was like 4 gold with Darius farmed there. That was pretty huge. Can't really afford to sell anything from the bench though. Actually could have sold that Darius to get up to 40 gold, I believe, but oh well, choosing to. Okay, maybe a little bit of an oversight there, but that's okay.
It's not as impactful as if it was, round 6-1,
Yeah.
right? And you need to like be spending your money in all of the correct ways. There isn't room for error, but in this particular situation, especially since the lobby It feels actually pretty even right now, outside of Eren, who seems to be struggling just a tad. Even before this next NPC round, below 50 HP is kind of in critical mode when you get there. But everyone else seems to be at the power level their comps are supposed to be at this point. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing super crazy right now. And we would expect even a Darius itemed out like that, which might look like perfect items, is going to start to struggle, especially once these tier 3 units get going, as this Kog'Maw with red buff will always be a little bit of a thorn in your side.
Yeah, seeing a little bit of Battlecast reroll there from Wolfey. So has, gone to the lab, studied up on what comps he wanted to bring into today. And I think this is a galaxy that you can make Battlecast reroll work on, as we see right here. Wolfey has 4 Battlecast right now, is not close to like a Battlecast spat or anything, but there is still a potential for one later on. Does have tier 3 Malphite, Nocturne, and Graves, 2 away from the Alawi, and kind of a long way off of the Kog'Maw, actually. I think I would actually like to see, once Wolfey gets that Alawi 3, to actually just push levels over going for that Kog'Maw 3. I think that going for that is kind of a bait at that point. Okay, even levels to 6 right now, before trying to find the Alawi 3.
Look
Hopefully we'll still
at
grab it, though.
how good those item components are, though, for I think
Yeah.
what he's trying to do. Literally
Suriname.
whatever he wants.
Mhm.
So we got the Hurricane, we've got the red buff that's going to be very, very nice for that Kog'Maw, but that Kog'Maw, this is kind of where the power level starts evening out. And so Battlecast is really hard to run, but he's got all of the points of interest going. That tier 3 Nocturne, the Malphite is a little bit of like a special case, I think. In the front, maybe
Yeah.
was just gifted a bunch of Malphites and is so tanky right now. I'd be shocked if he was able to use his redemption. But you're already seeing him just absolutely rip through Barrybadden there, who is a returning player. But the thing about Battlecast, again, it's I think power levels are very well known throughout the community and when they're going to be strong. And you've got to really push yourself through the strengths here, because this is another comp that will win you 10 rounds in a row and then lose you 10 rounds in a row at the same time.
Exactly. Yes, no, I couldn't have said it better. That's literally Battlecast in a nutshell, and it's up to Wolfey here to get it to whereas you're not losing 10 rounds in a row. And how do you accomplish that, right? Like, are you going to push levels and just be that much stronger with, you find like an Urgot 2 later on, or get to 6 Battlecasts? Because I think 4 Battlecast, you like can't win games as a Battlecast composition, a reroll composition with only 4 Battlecasts. You're going to need to find that Victor and that Urgot sooner rather than later.
Totally agree. As we get our first mech too from
Yeah.
MrBobert. I wonder
No
what mech
items though
he
on the Mac.
is wearing. No items, but some items on the bench. This was a little bit of a thing from what I remember last week, is a little bit indecisive on how one should push through some of the later game. That was a really tough loss too from Wolfey, because this is the
Yeah.
other thing about Battlecast, is if you're running it as well as Wolfey is right now, you're going to be pushing so much
Oh yeah.
damage towards the rest of the lobby, and it's going to be a very good comeback mechanic, as we're going to see MrBobert this time. And is this just a regular roll hat?
I mean, as regular as you can get if your name's MrBobert, that is for sure. But I think there was literally just different hats for like the past 2 weeks. Every single game, I think we've seen like 8 different hats. I could be wrong about that. Maybe there was some overlap that I missed, but I don't know if I remember this one.
we'll
So it's
we'll
keeping
check
the
the
trend in
tape.
my mind.
We'll
Yeah,
check the tape.
check the VOD.
We'll
Check the VOD.
the instant replay will be here soon. As 5 Blade Masters is usually actually pretty good against the mech, but struggling right now. Very curious as to why we're holding on to some of these items. You've got the ability to make your team just a little bit stronger right now. Has a Rumble on the bench, and MrBobert and Eren and actually all need to figure out exactly how they're going to try to even get to the
Oh
late game, because these
no.
HP totals are not good for even before our last NPC round, as MrBobert does not, even though gets let out first, does not get the item he wants.
Did not get the boat, and you saw that he was just clicking around, didn't know where to go from there. Is maybe kind of just looking like he's actually just like, kind of just over this game already, and maybe needs to, start thinking about game number 2. You're 15 HP, you only have Mastery E1. no RFC, you have a mech in with no items, you're 0 gold, and I guess you naturally hit a Rumble too, but, like, you're not at 6
Items.
PM. What are you doing right now? This is so rough.
This is splitting the difference. At this point, I think you sell your Blade Masters. You have all of the correct components for a mech. I mean, you do have Fizz too, which is actually pretty good for right now, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you committed to another comp and maybe got a little bit baited by the Fizz. Maybe saw that you were able to grab a bunch of them, because the other awful thing is the last thing you want is to have no money at level 7. I've noticed that that's probably one of, like, the biggest, new player baits is just level 7 in general. A lot of people, I think, waste their money, on this particular level, especially in galaxies, where I think sometimes you kinda just wanna push past this into 8 and complete your comps, and when you find yourself in this position, you're rarely gonna find yourself clawing your way out of it.
It takes another huge hit there from Icandyyyy. MrBobert is relying on items from the Arc Raptors, but might not even get there at all. This would be so unfortunate for him. I mean, look at these components. Like, as you mentioned, like, wait, a Blade Master mech? I don't think I've actually ever seen that before.
Well, get ready. Here we go, my friends. Hey, guess what? I'm running 2 comps at the same time. You know what I'm gonna do? Blow your minds, as we're gonna have Blade Master Mech. I'm sure the animation here is gonna be pretty funny. So, I wonder how good it's going to be. Probably, I mean, whew. Oh,
Okay, this
oh,
one
yeah,
match.
it got eaten.
Oh no.
It got eaten.
I was gonna say this is the one matchup that would be good going against Jingleee, because Jingleee isn't spending gold aggressively, but it still was such a dominant win there by Jingleee and an unfortunate loss for MrBobert. It's okay, you go 8th sometimes, you just reset the mental, come back game number 2,
It never happened.
don't do what you did in game 1, and then you maybe need to scout around a little bit, because we see Eren TTV, and we see kind of maybe why that Blade Master composition wasn't working, is because it was contested, and Blade Master is one of those comps where you hold hands and you go fast 8th.
Oh my goodness. And Aaron's probably rejoicing right now in the back of his mind that all of those units are back on the table for him to grab. But is it too little too
Yeah.
late? We still are. Oh man, we still have a lot of Master Yi's to go through. But wait, we got
Ooh.
a Nikos. Man, so many items. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
this galaxy. When everyone's just this is what it would be like if everyone was the 1%. You know,
Yeah.
in TFT. And honestly, it's actually really crazy how sometimes when you add things like this, but when everyone gets the same kind of thing, it feels even a little bit more fair, even though there seems to be more details attached to some of these players. But 68 HP, we've got a really good opportunity to get some Master Yis. You need one less this time, and if Eren's able to lock in that Yi, 26 HP might be all that Eren needs to climb their way back onto the top of this leaderboard.
Yeah, wow, a couple interesting things that just happened right there. Eren sold a Irelia 2, because didn't even want it in the comp at all. Wanted Xayah for Celestial, wanted the Riven, Shen for Chrono, and obviously the Yasuo and the Master Yi. Is going to take a huge loss here versus PapaLev. The Blade Masters are not going to be good enough for that one. And all of a sudden, Eren's one hit from being taken out. I was also going to mention that if there's Galaxy that we see the Blade Master's composition excel on, it would be Big Bang, because you are able to outfit multiple carriers with the amount of items that you get from the treasure trove portion of this galaxy. You can outfit a Riven, with Thieves Glove, or Irelia if it was kept on that. You can outfit the Master Yi with 3 items, and the Zed as well as some frontline. So gonna need to spend all of this gold right now if you're
It's not
Eren.
going well for the Yees. Master
No.
Yi, where are you? Oh, I don't know if anyone else is playing Blade Master right now, but that is not what he wanted. I mean, yeah, you 3-starred your Yasuo, and that's definitely a linchpin. But again, everyone has so much money, you're probably going to see a good amount of 3-stars on the other side anyway. He might be able to pull this one out because of a little bit of a front line. But if that Urgot hits that Master Yi, it's going to be over. But no, it's going to be the Syndra trying to bring this back instead, as Eren does end up winning this round at 9 HP, but I still think it could have been even stronger. We've seen this Blade Master comp against that particular comp. absolutely destroy them. So
Oh yeah.
at 9 HP, it's going to be a little bit more complicated to survive because it's just one loss at this point. There's no more mulligans.
Oh, there is no more. Ah, man, this is such a weird thing because Eren was confident enough to not commit the Nico's help there. So did not get the Shen 3 that he could have gotten, is actually just greeting it out. Actually, Icandyyyy went out in 7th there. What happened to her HP actually over the
I
course of
know.
this game?
This is the second time in 2 weeks that we've left someone with 100 HP and then they got 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just happens, especially with that cybernetic comp. With everything else that's going on, I feel like the cybernetic comp can get like seriously rock paper scissors,
Yeah.
and when the cybernetic comp loses, I feel like it's usually by a lot. Um, Plus, Spencer seems to be running it himself, so he's got some snipers there as Eren actually loses to that cybernetic comp as we get giantslayer Vayne on the bench. Some really good items. We've got infiltrator spat there as well. So, man, Eren would have loved the opportunity at some of this.
Yeah, would have been great, but unfortunately is not to be the case. See, Barrybadden struggling as well now on 4 HP, 1 round from potentially being eliminated. And Barrybadden's kind of running the tried and true for him, and that's going to be that Rebel Jinx composition, seems to favor that a ton. Is actually able to get that Aurelian Soul with a Rebel Spat right now. So not only does it make Aurelian Soul 2, but gets to pop off the Rebel Spat and put it onto something else. Probably just the Ezreal, so we'll
That's the
have
one you
to move around
see
the position
most
here.
often.
Yeah.
Um, Man, look at all these tier 3 units. Such great items. Double Frozen Heart on the Zed. One of my favorite kind of low-key itemizations is definitely like the Double Frozen Heart on any infiltrator. And
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and just put it on the Ez, which means he could take out a rebel to put in that echo a little while later as we see Spencer once again. We just saw Spencer eliminate Eren. Big gangplank ult.
Ooh.
Is that stun going to be enough time? And this rebel comp is going to overcome this Vayne
Yeah.
because of that gangplank ult and that tier 3 Ziggs pulling up in 3rd in that damage chart too. Like that is not something that you need to, I mean, it still stuns, right? It's still a lot of damage, and that Ziggs is producing right now, overachieving a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that little mana pool, just only has to auto a few times to get that ulti. Luden's proccing as well for some extra supplementary damage. I think, Barrybadden has some really good stuff going on for him right now. I am a little concerned, I would say, with just the Blitzcrank on board, because sometimes the Blitzcrank makes the gangplank targeting a little bit wonky, and so we wouldn't ulti in a beneficial spot as you usually would. But I think with this position here, as Colin supplemented that, shouldn't stray too far away unless,
Uh-oh.
okay, yeah, like we saw there, my concerns were valid, Boop. The gangplank actually got griefed by the Blitzcrank. Could not
Yeah.
attack the unit that he wanted to, was going to run around, try to reposition to target the Blitzcrank target, and I think that was the cause of the loss there.
Yeah, and 3 HP. That's 1 unit, I believe, at this point in the game. And look at Wolfie! That's already such an improvement in his
Oh yeah.
play. And look, we got the 3 stars that you need. That Illaoi is online. That Nocturne, that Malphite still around. Double Trap Claw, too, is actually going to make this team even harder to kill. And the one thing about these Battlecasts is you can burst them down. Like if I also just noticed Infiltrator got. But you can burn them down. But now I need to see another infiltrator here. Let's go to 9. Let's put like a fizz in, and let's get our 4 infiltrators, because why not at this point? You're in 3rd place, and I don't really see how you get that much stronger based off of what we're seeing.
Yeah. Oh man, did just that. Has the
Have
fizz and
that
puts
fizz.
puts the
Yeah.
echo in though for the 4 infills, and this is not something that you see out of a level 9 battle cast composition. But I love wait, what was that roll? Level 9, 2 Kog'Maws in that roll?
That's like even rarer. I believe you have the same. Yeah. You have the same percentage of hitting a 5-cost champion at this
Yeah.
point in time to not only hit
Mm-hmm.
2 of the same 2-cost champion that you need, and it's not even the re-rolling change for Fates, where you're seeing a ton of tier
Oh
3
yeah.
units. It's just right now the Kog'Maw is going to absolutely destroy them unless the Echo is able to get into the back line. But man, you're really seeing this Battlecast comp absolutely destroy. And remember what we were saying earlier, this is another one of those comps too that is able to win by a lot and speed up the game.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Wolfey has sped up the game with this play style, and Wolfey actually did exactly what I was saying earlier. With after finding that Lao, pushing levels, didn't actually find the Kog'Maw 3 until level 9. Imagine if Wolfey had tried to roll for that earlier and not hit, he would have been out of the game right now. But maintained composure, did exactly what he needed to do, and even got grace with the Battlecast spatula to put on that Malphite as well. Like, this is so well played by Wolfey. Wolfey has definitely been, in doing that training montage, studying up and came back, to really, really prove himself here
Yeah.
during this fight night.
Yeah, instead of like Rocky going up the steps, I'm sure it was Pokemon Go related, and swiping up those Pokeballs as much as possible, right? Getting to the next spot, and I'm really happy to see like someone come back who I think 8th placed last time they were here,
Mhm.
and automatically right from the beginning making a statement and saying, you know what, hey, I'm a multi-sport athlete. We're pulling a who else has been a little bit of a multi-sport athlete? Michael Jordan, Tim Tebow. Neither of those guys were good at baseball, but they tried, right? And I think Wolfie's doing a little bit better than them in that second opportunity here in the TFT. It's good to see.
Definitely. There are some wonderful, gamers in the esports world that are, multi-game athletes, and Wolfie's proving himself as, one that can definitely hang with the rest there. This performance is definitely making a statement so far. There is a lot of HP to have to get through now, though, from THGSpencerZ, as Jingleee does fall in 3rd. So we are in our top 2 scenario already here, Boop. This is going to be intense.
And just as a little piece of trivia here, our returning 3 players all finishing in the bottom 4 for this lobby.
True.
So it is up to anyone right now to try to get to the top 4. I don't understand how this Urgot is still alive, and that back line is hopefully going to look behind him to get that ult. But no, that Vayne's going to push him down. Anyway, and even though there are a little bit more units for the cybernetic comp, they might
Ooh.
be able to take it with this Vayne, and that's exactly what you're going to see. Vayne's a pretty good unit with those items, and thank goodness she's got a giantslayer on her too, especially for some of those frontline units like that Malphite and Graves.
Oh yeah, no, those are super, super techy friendly units there. That round was actually super, super close though. I think if that Echo didn't get that second ultimate off, it could have gone the other way. So maybe just a little bit of repositioning adjustments, and that round could very easily go the way of Wolfey.
11 units on the board, folks. 11 units. There's almost not enough space. I don't know if my CPU could even handle what is on the board right now. Where's this trap clock gonna go? Who is
I
the
guess it's
ref
just
gonna
gonna be
be
leveled up.
bringing
Yeah.
in? Yeah, might as well. You're just going to be bringing in those Urgots anyway, and since Wolfie is running Urgot, you're totally fine stealing a couple of them too. As you can see, Wolfie doesn't have that tier 2 Urgot yet, and since he did make that Urgot an
Mm.
infiltrator, it might have been really, really nice to get that tier 2 Urgot, but it's also going to face tank this Crystal Arrow and die? Yep. Okay, there it is. And the infiltrator spat, well, really, really fun. Unfortunately, I think might have been a little bit of a reason for this fall off here against Spencer.
The Kog'Maw's still alive actually after getting pulled in by the Blitzcrank. Okay, no, that was such a close round again. But THGSpencerZ is our game #1 winner. Those cybernetics proving to still be dominant, and I guess there's a reason why we're seeing a lot of them nowadays
Mhm.
towards the end of set 3.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that cybernetic comp, but it just doesn't feel like it should be strong when you see like the units back there, right? But for some reason, you get that vein and you see that tumble, you get that crit, and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because it always feels like, you get through the front line of cybernetics, and then you're always down to like the last 3 cybernetic units. And because of that vein tumble, some of your units are literally just looking left and right the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Right, while they're getting like pedaled by arrows and silver bolts and stuff like that. So the vein definitely the linchpin there, and you add the echo at the end to provide a little bit of CC and kind of like a comeback opportunity with that ultimate, just like we saw 2 rounds ago. That's the big reason why it's pretty good to run here. But the unfortunate thing is it is a very popular comp too. So Spencer, I think, getting lucky that Candy specifically fell a little early
Yeah.
on.
Definitely. Candy falling earlier on was really, really good for SpencerZ. Let's take a look at our game number 1 scores here. SpencerZ, of course, winning, getting 10 points. Wolfey, though, that was still a pretty solid game. Didn't get the first, but SpencerZ was just so far ahead, and there were super close rounds. But that's 8 points. Jingleee, 7. PapaLev, 6. Barrybadden, 4. Eren, 3. Icandyyyy, 2. And MrBobert rounding out with that one unfortunate game number 1. But yeah, interesting that the returning top 3 from last or a couple weeks ago, I suppose, are all bot 4 right now. What do you make of that? Are just our new, competitors so strong?
I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah,
I think it's the end of Galaxy, so maybe especially since we started with Big Bang, it's like starting off with a sprint, right? And maybe
true.
you wanted a little bit of a warm up, Gabe. I think Eren is someone who does tend to play better as time goes on, and I wonder if we're gonna kind of omni those Blade Masters because I believe Eren ran Blade Masters 3 out of 4 lobbies last time they were here. And I just am really excited to see the new blood coming in and again being successful because that was kind of a similar story of our last lobby where a lot of these names might not be as well known in the community, but Fight Night Rising is a really great way to become that person. And to see people from other games coming on like Wolfey just means a lot and speaks volumes to the game that we're casting right now. It's a wonderful thing. We all love Mort, and I think we've only seen this whole top 4 bottom 4ing thing maybe once or twice ever.
Yeah.
And I think it happened like 3 weeks ago. So, it's not over because I do believe one of those people did end up top 4ing and coming back the next week, but it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. We know
Uh,
the top 3 can top 3, and we know that they're not gonna just fall over by the wayside and, act like wet tissue paper. They're gonna compete.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not over after game number 1. This is, a marathon, not a sprint. You have 3 more games to go, and we've seen players go 8th and during game 1 and still like first place overall. We've seen players the opposite. First place, the first game, and then still, end bottom 4. So there's really a range here. But I think that I know for me personally, as a competitor, I'm really, really excited for, just TFT competition in general after, the Galaxy Championship was the first, like world scale competition. So if you're coming from a player's point of view, you're like excited to like, want to, prove yourself here on Fight Night Rising, make a name for yourself so you can, compete in all of these big things. So I'm sure that is fueling some of our competition here, especially with our new competitors, and maybe, part of that column A reason why they're, doing so hot.
Yeah.
Maybe some other people's, focusing on fates recently. Who knows? Could be a whole bunch of stuff, but
I know,
just
I have.
competition, man. Just I love it, and I'm sure these players do too.
Well, especially during times like these where we're not interacting with many people outside of our households, right? And
True.
this is like a really great way to, not just with chat, but like even the competitors here building relationships throughout multiple titles, multiple regions, all around the world, helping each other. When you've got Team IKEA, as well as European winners for championships, Japanese representation, which actually is lacking in a lot of major esports. And
Yeah.
we had a Japanese representative in Worlds this year, so
Yeah.
I'm just really really happy that I feel like these kinds of events are the linchpin to incorporating a lot more people into this world because I think this is a really awesome game in terms of being able to watch it. And it's like it's a thinking kind of game, right? So you don't have to be 19 years old and have like the best eyes in the world to like understand that there's a 360 view, blah, 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 which, that stuff can be fun too. But hearing TFT, it's a totally different experience and one for everyone to enjoy. And I think the
Definitely.
fact that we've had a full lobby every week for Fight Night Rising really speaks volumes to that.
Man, couldn't have said it better myself, Boop. That was wonderful. Thank you for
Thank
that. But
You're
no,
welcome.
I definitely share all of that sentiment as well. Seeing a bunch of regions, talking about Japanese region,
Oh
shoemaker
my
being
god.
the
Sorry, the
represented.
hat. Sorry, go ahead.
you,
Keep going.
you
I'm
scared me
sorry.
real quick. I was like,
Yeah, I'm
what's
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've not seen a top hat on an actual person, like in real life, like outside of a movie or cartoon. I don't think ever. So, okay, but yes, philosophically, it is really awesome to see all the the representation. I'm so sorry. My brain
You're
went squirrel.
fine. It really did, but that's what I love about you, Boop. Excited about these things. I'm excited for the hat game of MrBobert as well. I still continuing on with different hat every game. I don't think we've seen him wear a top hat yet. So how many hats does this man have actually? Like
And where are
Man,
they? You know? You
just has like a whole closet, just like one of those closets where it just keeps on going and going and going. There's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shelves, there's
Like
I imagine
those,
there's just hats, just like
MTV Cribs, like, look at my shoe
yeah,
closet, but it's the hat
mm-hmm,
closet instead. I
exactly.
had a lot of hats one day back in the day, but my dog ate all of them, unfortunately. But man, a real honest to God top hat. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
I I wonder where you even find something like that. Well, the
I
internet,
don't.
but
I
that
mean,
looks
you can
like a
find anything on the internet.
classic hat. Anyway, back to TFT. We're in trade sector, so that was a little bit of a preview of last round. So instead of also getting a bunch of items and
Yeah,
money, you are just going to get that free reroll. But looking at this bow, looking at this sword, and someone who likes running Master Yi, this could potentially be that kind of opportunity, especially since you've got a little extra gold because of that ash. But we're going to go ahead and just get some nice early game units in instead.
yep. Could run cybernetics, has that Fiora and the illusion. Could run protectors. Could run vanguards because the Poppy too right there. So a lot of options here for Mr. Bobert. Apparently, chat says that he has 200 plus 200 plus hats. He collects hats, so that is more than I would have imagined. That's a lot of hats.
That's a lot of hats. I don't know if I've ever owned 200 of anything. Pokemon cards. I have 200 Pokemon cards.
Okay.
I can actually go grab them and show them to you. They're literally right next to me.
Ooh.
But but until I've got like an appropriate time to do that, um, man, from like 1997, uh,
I mean, Pokemon
I'm
cards. You got
old.
Wolfie here. It's always
I know,
appropriate
right? I
anytime.
don't
Go
know I
for
don't know
it.
if there are, like, rules, for, like, Nintendo
True.
or Game
True.
Freak or something with showing, like, DMCA stuff, but yeah, like, it's just so interesting, to see how all of this again, all these different personalities. We've got hats, we've got MrBobert, who loves being on camera, he was flexing last time, right? And then we've got, so many different unique personalities and backgrounds here, and that's just so wonderful to see. And I think TFT is great in that way. And MrBobert gonna continue his life on the bottom here at 94 HP. I know it's pretty early, but judging by how that last game went, I really, I probably would have gone for some early wins here.
Yeah, choosing to live life on the edge, not wanting to level up. I think actually chose to sell the illusion as well, so there's not going to be the option for cybernetics anymore, at least right now, currently. Opting for the protectors instead, and the poppy is okay. Hits a couple units there. That's not bad. Probably just plays all his tier 2 units. Yeah, it does just that. But there's still like no damage dealers here for MrBobert though.
I wish, I really wish he would have kept to his old strategy of those Blade Masters like really early on because he had a
Yeah.
Yasuo show up. He's got the two bows, and anytime I feel like I see two bows, I'm probably gonna be running Blade Master. You have
True.
to at least think about it.
Maybe seeing, two different players contesting it last game, it's like, all right, I know one of these players is going to, be looking out for it. And as soon as the other person doesn't go for it, they're going to go for it. So doesn't want to run into that same issue. Because I believe the Blade Master players last game went 8th and 6th, nearly held hand 7th, 8th if it wasn't for Icandyyyy going 7th. So maybe a bit of a deterrence there. Always something to think about. Um, Man, I mean, that is a really strong start, though, in terms of items. Like, already having the RFC is great. It is going to throw in the Recon there for 2 Vanguards, or 2 Protectors, rather, but has only 2 Vanguard and 2 Protector. Still no damage dealer. Is on a 2 loss streak at the bottom of the lobby. And isn't really even in a position to make Econ either. Maybe could if he, like, sold his whole bench, but probably is going to keep that Recon pair there. I mean, it could, I guess, sell everything besides the Recon. But then the Cassiopeia pair seems to be pretty appealing as well.
I mean, to get 2, 3 cost units that early, if you're able to 2-star that Cass, you're not even really gonna be able to make it that much stronger because these items don't really help you out in that
Yeah,
way. Um, unless we get, like, a tier on this carousel, like, on a Cassiopeia or something, that could
true.
potentially make it worthwhile, but
Hmm,
this Vanguard Protector comp is a great opener, right? But we can't really judge anything that MrBobert does until we kind of see a transition out of this and how they're going to be able to handle, the alternate route a little bit later. because
Yeah.
losing like this is fine, right? Especially in the early game, and especially if you're trying to get that first dibs on Carousel, 86 HP, it could be worse.
Hmm.
But at a certain point, you're going to need to pull the trigger. And I think the last time around in the last lobby, MrBobert didn't pull the trigger at all. So we
Yeah.
definitely need to see him change his mindset a little bit going through the rest of this round.
Oh, definitely. And I think talking about the fact that Vanguard Protectors is, a solid early game, I agree with you. I think it's good to just kill a couple of units. You're not going to be taking losses by, the whole enemy team. So Mr.
Mhm.
Bobbert could go into, the Terror Burster rounds with like 80 HP with 5 loss streak, which is actually pretty good. Like that's kind of a high roll going 80 HP with 5 losses in a row. Just has to stabilize from there. And as you said, find a time to pull that trigger and be strong. Is he going to be able to do that effectively this game? Well, that is the question. Turning on over to Icandyyyy here, though, this is a really, really good start. Already having a Warmog's Nico, has 4 Star Guardians, 5 on the bench if you count that Soraka there. Really, really strong. Halfway towards a blue buff. I think this is really, really good. Good direction that Icandyyyy has going.
Yeah, hopefully finds another tier because you can just sell that Ari for your Syndra. But it kind of feels bad to kind of have that tier on the Ari right now, especially since you could put a Rod on her, and the Ludens on Ari is a great early game opportunity. As Jingleee now doing a little bit of a Wolfie cosplay from the
Yeah.
beginning rounds here, but this is kind of like the opposite of what we saw Wolfie do. Like, I feel like at this point he already had a couple tier 3 units, is at least what it felt like. But we're
Yeah.
also seeing why Shiv red buff so good on Kog'Maw, especially with that battle cast proc.
Oh, definitely. It is insanely good. I think having a Kog'Maw 2 at this point is kind of high roll, I guess I would say a little bit. Is not close to any tier 3s though. Still is a long way away. But we are on trade sector, so it's going to be a bit easier than normal for Jingleee here. I mean, it's still a decent opener. You have 4 Nocturnes, in tier 2 of your Kog'Maw, Malphite, and you are Alawi. A little bit far away from the Graves, though. I think this might be a scenario where you do kind of go for like half of your units to tier 3, and you're so far away from the other ones to where you just decide to push levels at that point.
Yeah, where there's a point where you got to cut your losses,
Yeah,
right? And then
exactly.
you're just investing in a losing stock, right? And you can get trapped into kind of like the hope of change, right? Like because it might not, and it might, and unfortunately, like when it does work for you, the confirmation bias there is just like so much stronger than when it doesn't, right? Like when you
Yeah,
don't get it, it's like, oh, I was just unlucky, and then when you do hit, you're like, I'm so good,
yeah.
right? And it can
I was supposed to
definitely
hit there,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It could definitely cause some mistakes, I think, in the long run if things don't go according to plan. But right now, things going according to plan for Jingleee, who it seems to be a really nice early game player so far. We've had a couple of these come through. I don't know why Duo Cube user comes into my mind anytime I think of early game players for Fight Night Rising, but Fluffy is pretty good at the early game.
Oh, true.
And Jingleee seems to be along that line where you kind of build up such a lead in the early game that top 4 is a lot safer, even though you might lose the last 4 or 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty good description there. Ooh, some gold that Jingleee got there from that blue box. I think that's really, really huge, being at least on 30 gold here and going to be guaranteed on 40 next round. When you want to get to 50 as fast as possible when you're slow rolling to just start getting those rolls in. And Jingleee doing fortunately doing a good job there with finding that gold. Another
Yeah.
Cassiopeia as well. Going to be able to put that in soon. Ooh, all right. Some solid rolls. Can't be too unhappy about that. A couple of Malphites as well. I actually thought Jingleee was going to go for the Malphite 3 route, but maybe choosing to skip out on that one is going to think about selling the Cassiopeia for 40 gold here, though. But either way, I could see being correct.
That is a tough decision. I'd probably actually keep it for now,
Hmm,
but I think the I think another big storyline here actually is that Spencer is in first place still
true.
at 98 HP. Yeah, we're only at 3-1, but they did win the last lobby and as a newer player here, and that's like a wonderful start to the game. But we also saw Icandyyyy start in that position too, and then ended up getting 7th place. So nothing is really locked in, especially in the early game. Really, the things that you can decide are item components coming into certain champions, especially if they're just holding them, or you're going to commit to them like this Kog'Maw. And then around this next carousel is when you're going to see the next comps kind of flourish, right? That's when you're going to see,
Yeah.
okay, this is Battlecast or this is Cybernetic.
Yeah, no, definitely. Passively leveling to 5 now is Jingleee, but gonna check out the board of THGSpencerZ, and that's 4 protectors right now, with a Warmog's GA on the Jarvan, already 1 tier on the Syndra. The really only concerning thing right now is that he's only at 10 gold. You don't really want to be only on 10 gold right now. Of course, we see a few players there, and I guess that's just kind of a byproduct of being on trade sector.
Yeah.
You're re-rolling and finding all the units that you want, so your gold's gonna be a bit lower than average. But that's kind of just how it goes. Of course, looking at Barrybadden, the opponent of Spencer's here, gonna be going the route of some rebels with no Jinx yet, but has a Kog'Maw in that carry spot. Yeah, kind of. You always know what you get with Barrybadden. Real consistent. I like it.
It's so funny that Rebel players seem to be that kind of player, right? The ones that are totally
Yeah.
okay with just running Rebels as a beautiful ultimate from that Nico that was going to help save them on that other matchup.
Mhm.
But Spencer's is going to end up getting back on the horse. Unfortunately, 1 gold away from that 20, so might have to think about some adjustments. No, is it going to actually just end up buying out the shop and finding that Nico? Are we going to
All
sell?
right.
Yep, that Irelia. I wonder if he. Anytime I see a player do that, I wonder if they actually ended up screwing anyone over. Like for that, like 5 seconds that Irelia was not
Yeah.
in the pack. I wonder if one of our cyber players would be able to get it. But yeah, we
Definitely
got Spencer
possible.
and Jingleee at the top, just like last time. PapaLev also showing up here. This is very different in terms of usually one person from our top 4 is usually in the top 4 the whole night, but that has not
Mhm.
happened today.
Yeah, no, it has not. That is really curious to see how it shakes up over the course of the rest of the game. Okay. Looking at Eren, I was like, why is Eren so low HP? But now it makes sense. Trying to tank a bit for those Blade Masters and only has a E1. Does have a couple of items on them though, but this is a bit worrying, I think, if you're Eren. Didn't have the greatest placement last game contested for Blade Masters, and you choose to run it back. Is that gonna be good, or is that just stubbornness? Who knows?
Oh, you're a Blade Master player. Why don't you tell us?
Well, it's good if you scare everyone else off of your composition. You're like me, 20 out of 20 blades, no pivot, no scout. I am this comp. You get a player contesting you with MrBobert last game, and they're like, "Okay, nah, man, I'm cool. This is yours." And then you win the next game with it. I think that would make a statement. And Eren needs to be in the position to do that, but is still really far away from being in that position, though. So
Mhm.
has kind of a long way to go. Is already 38 HP, only has 1 Master Yi, no Nikos,
This is
only
rough.
Shen 1. Like, this is a rough spot, so I'm not liking Aaron's chances here
Yeah,
right
and these
now.
are with free rerolls, by the way.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
this is out of the ordinary. This is straight up bad luck a little bit. Like I don't think you hit 38 HP on this comp without a little bit of bad luck.
Agreed.
Especially with the right items. Right?
Yeah.
Like you have the RFC and Hurricane and you get hooked by the Blitzcrank. That is mega unfortunate because might as well not even have the RFC at this point. But he actually might be able to pull this
Yeah.
off. MrBobert on the opposite side, just unable to maintain through it. But that could have been a lot easier again for Eren. Gifted, I think, a little bit of around. Is MrBobert looking a little weak now at 68 HP? So when are we gonna say, all right, it's time to roll? It's like Limp Biscuit, roll in, roll in. Thanks, Blood, for that one. But roll in, and anyway, um, 52 HP, just won 38 or 52 gold,
Hmm.
38 HP, deciding to pick up the
Preload.
Darius and stick to 52 HP.
Yeah, on that, needs to level to 7, and try to find those 6 Blade Masters. I think, yeah, is going to go into this Infiltrator round. Hoping to get some good items, because while we do have good items on the Master Yi right now, there's nothing for the front line. You're gonna want to, something on that Shen to help him, be a little bit tankier. I think last round was really fortunate, and when the Blitzcrank pulled in the Master Yi, nothing focused him, and now this round he kind of just gets free rent anyway. So perhaps Eren's not as weak as we thought. Maybe just running into some really strong matchups and really strong players. It is a bit unfortunate and a little bit, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but a bit unfortunate to run into all those matchups earlier on. We do see actually he's not even in last place. We see Wolfey now 31 HP taking up the rear now.
Shine bright, burn fast.
I guess so.
Wolfey is a player after my own heart. I'm definitely like along like the Piba way of playing, right? You get first, you get eighth. You got to go all in, and sometimes you go all in on a losing hand, and it might look that way this time as Leona holding the mech items, doesn't have the fizz, and without the fizz, we're gonna keep losing. I actually really would have loved to maybe see Wolfey run maybe even Battlecast at the beginning a little bit earlier. Again, with that kind of success that he had in that last round, sometimes you kind of do want to look at something similar for the next lobby. But we have some pretty good items now.
There's the fizz.
And we do lock in that fizz, and we pick up the cast. It's going to help out a lot. But really, the damage outside of the mech is lacking here.
Okay, I like this transition. Wolfey's on top of this, putting all the items on. I think what he should do right now is slam a Bramble on that mech. Wants to maybe wait for that Hodge, but I don't think can wait for the Hodge. Ooh, is gonna want to do it though. Man, I think this is super greedy, honestly. I was gonna talk about the fact that I think it was a misplay to have the tier on the Leona. It doesn't really do anything as the item carrier. And you could have slammed Bramble earlier because those two vests were there during the going into that neutrals round. He could have saved a lot more HP. You're barely winning that round. It would have been really unfortunate to lose and be a Bramble diff there. But I think Wolfey has stabilized here, has really good Victor items with that blue buff and Morello's. Just needs to find the Victor at this point. Was fortunate enough to find the tier 3 Annie, so that mech is going to be a bit more powerful than usual. Does need to find the tier 2 Fizz though before it's really online, and you can keep pushing levels though.
So
Okay,
what's actually really, really cool about how Wolfey is playing right now is I don't know if you can tell, Khroen, but even the way he's moving his mouse is different than when he was here last time. Just so much more confident. Right. You can tell he's just got a much higher grasp of the game this time around, and to see that kind of accelerated process, because it's probably been around like 4 or 5 months since we last saw Wolfey, and again in esports time that's like 3 years. But
has it been that long? Oh wow.
It might have been. I don't know, but it's been a while, and it's really cool to see like this is an obvious difference. I know that he's in last place right now, but I don't think he makes that transition. Even though it's greedy, I don't think he sees that transition the last time he was here, for example. And this time around, showing up.
Yeah. Maybe sees it, but doesn't know how to execute as well as I think he did there. Yeah, definitely. Maybe, took a little bit too much damage and that could have been mitigated somewhere. But just during that pivot where he, confidently sold all the units on his board, knew what he was looking for, put everything in. I think that's a transition of a player who is a lot more accustomed to the game than Wolfey was in his last appearance here. I definitely agree with you on that point there. And then, choosing to save gold now, sold the Xerath a couple of rounds ago or last round, what have it, but is going to want to level up and put that Ziggs in for that Demolitionist. Like Wolfey has a game plan here. And is he too low to be able to stabilize off of it? I think he's actually in a in a pretty good spot here, assuming he's able to hit a Victor too at some point.
He's right on the line, but I agree with you. I think he's on the safer side of the line right now.
Yeah.
The lack of demo could have been a death sentence, but there's enough damage on that mech. It's so crazy after they drop Titan's Resolve to 25, like how strong this particular item combination is, especially through the mid game.
Yeah, the mid game especially, you get to that big beefy point where, the fights, reach you kind of like its most climactic point, and boom, Titan's Resolve 25 stacks kicks in, you get that much tankier so you can survive, get more damage off, and I think it's super, super good. Even grabs a glove here to have that jeweled gauntlet on that. Oh, actually might just keep it for the gangplank.
Jeweled Gauntlet Gangplank
Hmm.
can destroy literally an entire team,
It can.
especially with the mech. So I wonder if we're going to be able to see like the Dream Wombo come off, which
Ah,
is that
man.
like mech ult with the Gangplank ult, one right after another. So
Yeah.
satisfying.
I'm thinking right now, Boop. Do you want the Jewel Gauntlet on the Victor to be more consistent, or do you want to just, go all out there and just, go out with a bang, I guess, as we'll say, keep that Gangplank, put the Jewel Gauntlet on him, and maybe it's a 50-50 coin flip whether he ults or not?
I
Hmm.
think, okay, my brain says put it on the Victor.
But your heart.
My heart says, hell yeah, put it on that Gangplank. Because when it works, you'll be like, see? Just like earlier when I was talking about confirmation bias, right?
Yep, yep,
Plus,
yep.
you've got the Gangplank. He's worth more than the 5 gold. He can have that Jeweled Gauntlet, unless he just doesn't ult, which is definitely a possibility with Gangplank. And not having demo here is actually a pretty big deal
Oh, yeah.
for this
Ooh.
mech.
Aw.
Probably wins that round if he had a demo on his teammate.
Yep. Level up, and that's yeah. I think Wolfie maybe. I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? But I think maybe it was a little bit too greedy there and not leveling up that round. Could have won the round if he, again, if he leveled and put that, demo in. Actually hits a Gangplank pair here. So yeah, it's keeping the Gangplank, sold the Zig. So we're gonna see exactly what the heart wants to see right now, which is that Gangplank. Probably Jewel Gauntlet might wait to see what, if any, components drop from the Arc
Yeah.
Raptors, though.
Because he might get another glove, and both could have jeweled gauntlets in a perfect world. Could you imagine? But now that we have this demo on the mech, we have got good items. The tier 3 Annie, this Victor literally just burned across the lane. I love Ionic Spark on Aurelion Soul, especially since just like some of our backliners and assassins is actually moderately tanky too with some of the right items. We'll be able to get a lot of value out of that as this mech is doing a little bit of a dance. I believe that's called the monkey. In
Is it?
colloquial terms. But yeah, Wolfie, not a lot of money, but doesn't really need it right now.
Nope. Doesn't need it. Kind of has everything that he wants already going right now. Has kind of stabilized. A little bit of unfortunate loss a couple rounds ago. But what has happened in this lobby though is that Eren is actually win streaking. Ever since we last checked in on him. Still 34 HP. Is kind of riding that middle of the lobby right now. Still is some years away from Master Yi 3. But that's still okay right now, I think. You have a little bit of time. You have 50 gold still. But Barrybadden, actually, bottom of the lobby, 15 HP. We see MrBobert at 21. There's kind of a big drop off between the top 4 and the bot 4 right now.
90 HP for Jingleee.
Yeah.
Oh my
Ooh, okay.
goodness.
This is good. This is really, really good. Hits the Jinx, so it can use the Nico on the Aurelion Soul.
Oh,
Bloodthirster isn't great on the Jinx, but hey, like you'll take it. You have
there
Giant
are
Slayer red
worse.
buff.
There are
Yeah.
worse items for sure. Especially at this kind of like break point when you're not really going to be able to get any components. Like you got to fill out that Jinx. If your Jinx isn't completed by 5-1, I'm asking you why, right?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
that's your carry. You're just purposely not going to your biggest strengths in that way. But this Rebel comp should actually do quite well right
Yeah.
here and right now, especially against the double Warmogs. And as you also see that Jinx avoided the grievous wounds that whole time, so actually find some value out of that Bloodthirster
Yeah.
too, as Icandyyyy is going to fall, but performing much better. Man, this lobby actually very similar to our last one in terms of placement. The only really big change is Icandyyyy and Eren moving up and MrBobert moving down a little bit. But our top 3, I believe, is the same top 3 as last round.
Yeah, I believe so, actually. Interestingly enough, Icandyyyy, I think there was a couple of things that were pretty worrying there for her. While the Nico looked really strong, no blue buff on the Syndra and at Syndra 1. Okay, we see on the side there, did hit Syndra 2, so that's going to be pretty good. Eren hits Yasuo 3 as well. People are really starting to come online right now, and that is 6 Star Guardians, I believe. They're that Star Guardian Victor from Spencer. So a couple of people choosing to go the Star Guardian route. It's really strong. Why not?
We saw Star Guardian Victor last round too, so I wonder if that was Spencer.
Ooh, maybe so, yeah.
Um, But yeah, these rebels are going to be killing it, especially with that Jinx online. Getting that
Yeah,
Jinx 2 is more important in my opinion than getting that Asol 2 there at the end, even though that
agreed.
Ionic Spark is going to help out a lot, more so after Jinx gets excited with that Ionic Spark.
Yeah.
Are we gonna maybe see an Asol 3 Miss Barrybadden on its way, but really we're just keeping an eye
Nah.
forward instead?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think just looking for that gangplank right now. To have that. Oh, actually doesn't have a Zig, so never mind, isn't going the demo route actually, or doesn't need it at least. I know that's like, what you want out of a late game rebel composition is, you want that GP2 with a GA and your Zigs to get the demolitionist, but isn't gonna be the world that Barrybadden is living in right now. Ooh, is it good enough to beat MrBobert though? This is some strong cybernetics on their side here.
Yeah, especially with the Irelia and the Infiltrator talons. So much damage. The Echo ult is going to help, and I think it's actually going to be the Asol in the
Yeah.
end, winning this out for him, and the Jinx. Very, very good positioning from Barrybadden actually
Ooh.
for that particular round, as both of his carries are the last ones alive, and that's one of the best ways to know your positioning totally worked out. Oh, Rebel
Yep.
Spat though.
All right, Rebel Spat. That's gonna be pretty good. I wonder. It's not necessary though, so I wonder if Barry Badden goes in that direction. It's always like, oh, Rebel Spat. I can fit so much, else into my comp with that. So I wonder. However, looking at our lobby, just a couple rounds ago, we had a pretty solid divide between top four and bot four. But right now, kind of our bot six here are really, really close. Maybe Icandyyyy actually like could fall from like an 8-0 loss or something, but
Mhm.
maybe it's gonna be safe from that. Our like bottom five though definitely could be eliminated in one round if they take a bad loss.
I wonder who PapaLev lost to, because last time we saw him, I felt like he was in the top 3.
Yeah,
So,
he
yeah,
was. Yeah.
he's getting smacked, whatever is going on over on that board. But Eren cannot find Master
Hmm.
E3 to save his life,
Oh.
unfortunately. And that's, man, he ran Blade Master so well last time he was here. I mean, this is just the name of the game when it comes to this comp, right? Khroen, you would know more than anyone else that, sometimes you just don't
Feast or
hit.
famine.
Yeah, feast
Yep.
or famine. You just don't hit, and you get stuck at level 7. And again, just like I said before, when you're stuck at level 7, you're probably going to be on the bottom side of the leaderboard too. But will Eren be able to stop this lose streak right now? Looks like this might be a favorable matchup, as the Acel doesn't live
Okay.
nearly as long that they need to, and actually eliminates Barrybadden
Wow.
instead, avoiding that 8th place.
Oh
2
man.
players at 1 HP. Now let's see what our last one's going to be, and I think we're going to see an elimination here as PapaLev dropped from 3rd to last in, like, 3 rounds.
That is crazy, actually. PapaLev, I think, was in a pretty good spot, but unfortunately, the last few rounds just were not kind, and they're kind of like not being kind to Eren right now, but a little bit kinder. Barely won the last round. I think actually putting that Echo in over the Zed kind of helped win that round. Oh, actually hit the E3 there. Okay, so sold the Echo to do it. It is running 6 out of 7 units, but you gotta do what you gotta do at this point. And you see the like, oh my god, did I just like screw up on Eren's face? Like, was that worth it? I don't know. Going against Jingleee here, and the Yi gets Zephyred, Boop.
The Yi gets Zephyred. That is what you call hashtag worst case scenario. But I mean, E3 is
Oh,
also
okay.
3. Worst case scenario, still going to end up in a victory. We could potentially see a 1 HP win here. MrBobert is going to be the last one to end the round. Look how close this is, and he beats
Oh
Icandyyyy.
my.
I think because of a Shiv proc. So was that an Alawi with a Shiv on it? Is that what I saw? But yeah, look at the top hat position has changed, has been grabbed, has been the power has been released from the top hat as both of our players at 1 HP
Yeah.
survive 1 extra round.
Yeah, and make it to this Kane round. Ooh boy, this is intense. Only person on a win streak right now is Wolfey, 14 HP. Very well could see Wolfey get into the top 4 once again. Could still go bottom 4, but as you would see 2 1 HP players, you're like, all right, I really don't want to get beat by those 1 HP players right now. Like that's gonna be the goal.
What a pack. Too
Yeah.
bad you,
Huh.
too bad you don't need the Lulus.
I
Um, would you
don't
have gotten
like No, I don't think I would have grabbed the Lulus. Another pair of 2 Lulus there, interesting. I was gonna say I don't like putting the Bloodthirster on the Echo, though. I think that would have gotten a lot more use going on either the Aurelia or just the Vi for cyber stats. I don't think Echo's gonna utilize that well. He heals up a little bit, sure, but you're not really gonna want, AD focus if you're running that Echo. AP or just like mana or utility is gonna be what he's good with.
It's gonna help, I guess, that damage output with the Shiv. Like once he does attack
Sure.
them, it's gonna be a little bit more damage with those Shiv procs, and it's actually gonna end up helping him in at the end as this auto attacking Echo should be able to clean this up.
I mean, Aurelia could have done the
Yeah,
same and even better. I'm looking at, Aurelia jumping in the back, so it has happened. MrBobert hangs on, 1 HP.
Eren
Eren
does
does
not.
fall though. Yeah, negative 18 there
Wallet.
to get 5th place there. MrBobert though, hanging on. Icandyyyy still 12 HP. Wolfey 14. The top of the lobby is taking some losses though. I believe Spencer and Jingleee took a loss there. I know definitely Jingleee did.
Yeah, Jingleee was on fire for 80% of this lobby, and
Yeah.
it's just so crazy how some of these comps
Oh,
will start popping off at, like, this point in time, right? As Jingleee also
okay,
going to
yeah.
lose against Icandyyyy this time, who finally has their Star Guardians all popped up. I don't believe I saw a blue buff on that Syndrop.
No, I
So,
don't think so. Yeah.
Icandyyyy does find Janna too. That's really going to help that Star Guardian comp. Remember, those auto attacks are gonna be huge, and that Nico is huge with those 2 coats on. It's just gonna get hot. Jingleee 36 HP. I mean, when you're seeing 36 HP at the top of the lobby with 5 people remaining, it really truly is anybody's game.
Yeah, really, really is. Like you're kind of chilling in terms of just being, being top 4. I'd be pretty confident if I was Jingly, but not too much more than that. The Kog'Maw 3 though, Battlecast is huge. We see Battlecast reroll do very, very well again. Even the IE on the Nocturne has a little bit of, backline damage there is huge. And oh man, that fight against MrBobert was so, so decisive. Those Cybers did not stand a chance there.
Mhm. And it's actually really interesting how what we said about
Oh,
Jingleee earlier on actually ends up ringing true when, you start fast and you end up losing a lot at the late game, but have you developed enough of a lead to where those losses don't really matter,
yeah,
right? You're going to get that top 4. That's exactly what Jingleee played as Wolfey does fall after winning a bunch of rounds in a row. I mean, when you're this low on HP, it doesn't really take much. And so you
no,
can win 6 rounds in a row, but at 14 HP, all you need to do is lose 1 and you
yep.
potentially are eliminated. As Icandyyyy, I think, is the one that is eliminating a lot of these players right now. Who is on the other side? I believe that is going to be the Ghost
Yeah,
for the Echo against Icandyyyy.
SpencerZ.
And now we have SpencerZ Ghost. Now we have
Yeah.
the traditional Star Guardians for Icandyyyy, who will reign supreme. That's Soraka ult will
Oh
definitely
man.
help out. Man, I mean,
Oh,
but the Nico
Urgot.
gets taken down. It takes down that Nico, and now it's going to be a race to those Syndra ultimates, and this is where that blue buff might come into play, or the lack thereof. But man, with that Janna, everyone else
Ooh.
doing exactly what they need to do, as Candy is going to get at least 2nd place with this Star Guardian comp, taking down Spencer, the winner of our last lobby. It's Jingleee versus Candy.
Oh
Sounds,
man.
sounds like a kid show.
It very well could be, but no, this lobby is accelerated super, super fast. We had 6 alive not too long ago, and now we're down to our final 2, 6-star Guardians, 3 Sorks versus that 6 battle cast. I would be very not confident if this was down to a Star Guardian Sork for Star Guardian Sork. I'd be like, all right, it's just a 50-50. Like it could go either way. But I think with this matchup, I would say Jingleee has a bit of an advantage, assuming that the Zephyr isn't going to hit the Kog'Maw. Like that could be avoided. We'll see though. Icandyyyy not really scouting so much, but just kind of seemingly randomly repositioning that, and yeah, does dodge the Zephyr there as we go into this round.
I think the biggest thing that we saw two things there. I'll talk about the Shroud of Stillness in just a second, but I think one of the bigger things here is the fact that with that Urgot in the front line and how that Nico was statted
Oh,
out, that Nico
yeah.
was going to get eaten some frog legs on the menu as Icandyyyy finishes in a second place. But the pro tip I wanted to say is whenever you get a completed Shroud of Stillness, do not put it on until you see that other team on that board. That's one of those pro tips there that we actually just saw Icandyyyy use
Mhm.
to great effect for its use. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to bring the victory.
Yeah, no, the battle cast was just so strong at that point. Kog'Maw just kind of shredding through everything. The Nico really didn't stand a chance. Urgot as well was huge there. Icandyyyy still a really, a lot better performance than game number one, though, as we'll have our scores up very shortly here. And Wolfey managing to top four 2 games in a row. We actually got a couple people top fouring a couple of games in a row here. THGSpencerZ and Jingleee both sporting a first and then a third, tied for 17 points. Wolfey with 14. And when we get to the bottom, a little bit of our lobby here, it's kind of close actually. Icandyyyy having a bit of a lead there though with that second place, with 10 points, but PapaLev, Barrybadden, Eren, and MrBobert being our 5th through 8th right now. Boop, what do you make of this lobby so far?
5th through 8th is our top 3 from last week. That's, I think, the biggest story here.
True.
Is, again, like, you can be a returning cast member, but that's not gonna keep you safe, especially if you're in your 3rd week, which I don't believe any of these players are.
Yeah.
But in the end, right, it's just so cool to see the new names and to see such different results. Yes, our top 3 kind of were consistent throughout, but there was a lot of movement there within lobbies. And seeing Battlecast get a first and a second in 2 lobbies in a row, I don't think we've ever
Yeah.
seen. I can't
I
believe these
mean,
words are coming out of our mouth.
yeah.
For Fight Night Rising, Battlecast has been quite consistently strong.
So it has been, given the fact that we've had 2 really good galaxies for it, we have had Big Bang into Trade Sector, and if you're gonna see those comps succeed, it is gonna be on those galaxies, but still, the prevalence of it, it's a strong comp, and it's really been shown during these past couple of games. But, it's halftime, a couple of games in and a couple of games to go. We will be taking a quick 5-minute break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon with more Fight Night Rising. Welcome back, everyone, to Fight Night Rising. We've had a couple of great games and still two more to go. Hopefully, some more on the Big Bang Galaxy, Boop.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it your first time casting a Big Bang Galaxy?
That was my first time casting the Big Bang Galaxy, as you so emphasized so well. But yeah, that was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like everything I like about Treasure Trove, plus a little bit of like funfetti and sprinkles. You know?
True, I like that. Funfetti and sprinkles. You get the force of nature in there, dash
Yeah,
in. You get the
yeah,
free rerolls every
exactly.
turn.
It's like a Jackson Pollock painting, right?
True,
It's
true.
just freedom. Even though technically I believe he was like all about like placing those things exactly where they are. But I think the metaphor
Yeah,
still stands. But I think
I agree.
one of the two big storylines here, our top three from last week, are currently sitting in the bottom three of the standings. I
True.
don't remember the last time we had a completely new returning cast outside of like the Europe and a reset, right?
True, yeah.
And the other thing about it is, yes, as you said, we've had some Battlecast appropriate galaxies, but Battlecast has pulled off a win and a second place so far today.
That it has. It's done very well. Will it continue to reign as supreme? I'm not so sure. But once again, the players who do high roll Boundcast might get a chunk of this prize pool that we got here tonight. We do have that $200. First place getting 100, second place 50, third and fourth $25. And of course, top three are going to return, and they might be an all new returning cast, as you put for next week. There, Boop. These score lines. We went over it. Before the break. But looking at it again, I'm really liking the consistency we're seeing out of these
Mhm.
top three players with SpencerZ, Jingleee, and Wolfey. Wolfey really turning up the heat. Really, opposite performance from what we saw last time from him. Icandyyyy had a rough game one, but had a really strong game two. Hopefully that momentum will still carry on. And it's still kind of anybody's game, maybe,
Mhm.
a little bit harder for the bottom half here, but they still could make it into the top three though.
The big I think like one of the bigger things when it comes to fight night, if you're kind of strategizing before coming in here, you want to try to maintain you wanna be within, like, 6 to 7 points of first place by, like, the 3rd lobby to conceivably still win it.
Yeah.
That's, like, enough of a pillow to fall on if you mess up, but if you fall a little too far behind, you're no longer looking to win, you're just looking to come back, and then you get even further behind in the 3rd lobby, and then you're just playing
Yeah.
spoiler, which we've had some really good spoilers in the past. Some of our 8th placed, lobby members will end up eliminating someone from the top 3, and that's just as fun for a lot of people. But I think in the end, it's going to be a little bit of a separation from our top two, with the 3rd place going to be a little bit of a combat. And Wolfie sitting in that 3rd place spot right now. And I feel like that is exactly where he needs to be to kind of like learn a little bit more of this TFT atmosphere. Like, what's it like to be on that line? Like, what is it? I think the biggest loser is like if you're below the yellow line, you're eliminated, right?
Yeah.
And right now he's on that line, and you can't. He's going to try his best to not go below it. If he does after this lobby, we do have a redo coming up, but he's played 2 different comps, has top forward both of them so far. And again, even we were quasi joking a little earlier, even the way he's moving his mouse and like
Yeah.
eliminating his units and placing him on the board using his items is all so much more intentional. It is very obvious how much work they have put into coming back and not repeating that history again, as we get the very few times we get all of Candyland in one pack choice. But we're going to go ahead and start off here with some Caitlyn and some Vanguards.
Yep. A few Caitlins in the shop there, actually, so might be grabbing that Caitlyn 2 here soon. We're actually on a Big Bang Galaxy again. So it's extra percentage chance to hit it, and we have hit. So definitely we'll be getting some gold drops here to pick up that Caitlyn.
And because it is a Big Bang, that's why you didn't see him sell his other units,
Yep.
because you're already seeing he's going to get units as gold, or he's going to get. Oh, doesn't pick up the Caitlyn.
Yeah, I already had one on the
Oh, oh,
board, so
oh,
just
okay,
needed to
okay,
pick
yeah,
up
that's right,
two.
that's
Yeah,
right.
there's three in the shop.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Gotcha. But no, but I think everything still rings true. It's just with the free reroll, with the extra money, you don't really need to worry about getting the money, especially in the NPC rounds, to get your last unit.
Yeah. You don't. I wonder what direction Wolfey's going to go from here. We've seen him play a couple different comps already. Seen him play Battlecast, and then after that played Mech. And I think those were dictated based off of the early items that he got, because we saw last game the Mech item slam onto the Leona super early on. I wonder if that's kind of indicative to how Wolfey plays. Kind of takes those early items and it's like, boom, okay, I'm gonna play this comp, and just kind of focuses on that. But it's still like kind of flexible because it's whatever items that you do get. Has a decent early game here. Caitlyn 2, Malphite 2, Blitzcrank in for the chrono. Maybe levels up. Perhaps not though. Doesn't need to.
I think the most difficult thing about, because I'm a little bit like that, where I'm kind of like, oh, I have these items, I'm just going to go this way. The
Yeah.
hardest part about that is if you're going to play like that, which is a totally viable way of playing, it is part of the TFT world to play like that. You are going to have to learn more comps than everyone else.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to have to play way more comps. You're probably going to play 3-4 different comps in the same competition, right? If you're going to be like an item dependent type of player. And so that's actually what we've seen from Wolfey so far. And we see from other players, but other players like Eren will say, like you said, no scout BM, we're just gonna go ahead and run that. And because I know I'm either gonna win this lobby, or like as Eren has done the last couple rounds, or last 2 lobbies gotten 7th and 8th.
Yeah, being on the bottom half of the lobby there, unfortunate. We saw Barrybadden here with a couple or a few space pirates actually trying to farm up some of that gold here. I think, yeah, Barrybadden has had actually a couple of bottom fours, had a fifth, barely a fifth, and then a seventh last game actually. With that unfortunate placing, did kind of hit the power spike, but or wait, am I looking at no? Yeah, Barrybadden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
did get
I
seventh.
I'm thinking, based off of some words that have been said by MrBobert here, that we might be looking at a space pirate comp to maybe end the round. We are going to get even more gold because of the other 3 galaxies here, plus the space pirate addition to that. But you gotta hit the space pirates if you want to do it. Right now, it only has that tier 2 graves. I can't quite make out through. I think that is just a tier 1 Darius with the
Yeah, it
gold
is.
gauntlet.
It is. Yep. Tier 1 Darius there. Jason the bench as well. Are we gonna be seeing 4 space pirates?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think so.
Man, that's such a risky play style. It can work out if you high roll super well with it, but man, if you low roll, you're kind of just asking for a fast eighth kinda almost, but I don't
This is
know.
a this is exactly the equivalent of "Let her ride," or "I'm
Yeah,
betting it all on black." This is exactly that for those
very
of you
much
at
so.
home. So if you're into, like, say you're like your digital poker game or digital blackjack game, betting all of your money on every hand, this is exactly the type of comp you want to run. Because there's actually a very high crossover between poker in this game, I've come to learn.
Very true, actually.
Yeah, a lot of poker players play this and vice versa. It
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense when you think about how you track data in both of those games. Very Bad needs to track a lot more than Data needs to track the rest of this lobby because he needs to race to those gangplanks because without that gangplank, this comp is just going to be a shell of what it could be.
Man, I'm thinking about what you said, tracking data, definitely things that, resonate with TFT and poker players. I'm like, I like playing poker myself, but man, do I hate tracking data. Math, ooh, yucky.
But that's
But
what you're good at. I mean, it's just like one of those situations that you just have to be okay with being good at something that you might not like as much. That that math
I
is
think
potentially one of those things.
I think I just circumvent it during other ways. I'm just like, all right, logistically, this is good. I know that. I couldn't tell you why, but I know it is. So I'm gonna try to replicate that. And that's where I'm going with that route.
So I was playing with some friends a couple months ago, and I did not know that one of these guys was like a legitimate like World Series of poker player.
Oh, really?
And I
Wow.
went like 1 versus 1 against him, and everyone was like, "You don't want to do that." And I was like, "Why? Why don't I want to do that?" And even even through that, I was like, "Oh, I literally just told the whole table I have a good hand." fight. Like, why don't I want to go up against this
Yep.
guy? I lost $75 on that hand
Oof.
out of a $100 play-in. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of crossover there as he's also in esports and plays a lot of TFT. So
Oh,
as
very cool.
as PapaLev was sitting pretty at that 97, is going to fall to Barrybadden's potential 4 space pirates coming up. But being at 90, part of me doesn't like being in first place at this point in time, especially for carousel. Earlier picks are always better because I feel like if you're in the top 3, top 4 at this point in time, you're almost forced to spend your economy and try to keep it above 10 or try to win streak. PapaLev doesn't
Yep.
have those handcuffs on, but I'd rather be like where Jingleee is right now, where I could kind of react to how the bottom of the lobby goes and then make my decision.
Huh, interesting Shojin slam there that we just saw, but man, looking at Barrybadden though, that's a pivot if I've ever seen one. Finding that fizz means me mech. As Jingleee scouts that out there. With Jewel Gallon on it though, maybe it's not going to be a commitment, but either way, watching the Jingleee versus Eren matchup here. Jingleee with not too much going on, just going to be farming up some XP with the Bard here, a couple of Vanguards, couple of Chronos, still strong enough to beat Eren. And this is a consistent theme we see with Eren today, is bottom of the lobby, riding that one out during the early game. And can he recover though? Tried to last game and nearly looked good, but right now is looking like an oof.
Yeah, big old yikes so far for Eren. I feel that, I mean, we interviewed him last time we were here, and obviously is like a really funny, nice guy. And it like
Yeah.
hurts to be like, man, things are just not going your way today. Like I was playing D&D yesterday. I think I only passed 2 skill checks, like for like of
Ooh,
the 4 hours that we were playing, and
you
I feel like
know,
Eren is probably feeling exactly the same right now.
some days it's just, it's just one of those days. You get unlucky or like nothing really
Uh-huh.
goes well. You play the Master Yi Blade Masters, you're like, all right, I see a little glimmer of hope. I can come back, but then you don't hit the E3 and it's just you're just doomed. You just, don't hit a E2 until like stage 4, stage 5.
Yeah,
You're
he
like,
hit his E3 at 9 HP last time.
yeah.
Not what you want to see in these items. One of them is just
Hmm.
fine, but we are going to hit that force of nature, and we don't have any Blade Masters for Jingleee right now, even though we do have that Hurricane. I wonder, we got Vanguard, Chrono. This is where, who was it last week that started off like this, really, really strong, and then ended up getting 8th? I forget, but this was almost the exact comp that they had a really hard time coming out
Hmm.
of. And I wonder if we're going to see the same thing here, because we could potentially get set up for a Piba situation if we're able to 2-star that Bard.
Maybe, yeah. I think what's more likely actually with that Runan slam and like no Shojin is I think we see some Astro Snipers. I don't think we've seen Astro Snipers yet.
Mhm.
But I think Astro Snipers is actually super, super good on the Big Bang Galaxy if you're uncontested. Fun fact, the person who won the Galaxy's championship, the 16-year-old kid from France, Casey Double, went Astro Snipers uncontested in Big Bang Galaxy and hit Teemo 3 like 2 games in a row back
Oh,
to back. So I'm sure it was a little bit of a high roll, but still, Big Bang getting those free rerolls and having that huge economy to work with, you're gonna be able to hit those tier 3s that you wouldn't usually see comps like these hitting, especially if you're uncontested like we see Jingleee probably is here. Haven't scouted quite the whole lobby yet, but with the lack of okay, we see quickly scouting right there. Yeah, boom, looks uncontested.
That's big, and I think this is actually like a really good read from Jingleee, because I don't believe we have had a single Astro Sniper in the last 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
knowing that maybe the lobby, it's funny how those things just kind of fly under the radar until it's too late, until you're looking at a team of 3 and you're like, oh,
Yep.
that's right. The unfortunate thing here is Astro Snipers can struggle in the early game without the extra mana. Is looking for that third piece, which is probably going to be Gnar. Such a good unit, and I like how they balance Gnar by giving him synergies that don't put him in like every single comp, like last time we saw Gnar.
Yeah, true.
And the power level seems to be pretty good there, as we actually pick up 2 ashes. This is
Yep. looking
Very,
like it.
very. Yep, this is definitely looking like that Astro sniper. Actually, not a ton of Ash just in general today either. Usually we have like a random Chrono Ash in one lobby, like get a solid 4th place.
Yeah.
Nothing, no more, no
Eh,
less. And and then
eh.
and then outside of that, like not a lot of action from the Ash so far.
Yeah, no. Okay, we do see Barrybadden sticking true to those rebels, just has the mech in early game as an item carrier, and it's working out really well actually as the item carrier. We see Barrybadden, at 89 HP, almost in first place though, but just losing out on that spot, 1 HP to PapaLev. Does win the round right there against Jingleee though. I think this is actually really, really, really smart from Barrybadden to identify the fact that you can play mech as a transitional comp and still pivot into what you want later on.
Transitioning into mech is one of those, I feel like it's going to define how competitive set 3 has gone almost the entirety since even before 3.5. As
True.
Barrybadden is back
Oh, actually, it's on top now in HP.
and is on top. I'm so happy he ended up bailing on his space pirates. Maybe he'll sell everything and get some space pirates a little bit later. Maybe we'll see space pirate mech. You never know. We
Perhaps.
won't. We're not
Probably
going
not from
to.
this position, but
Not from this position. As I wonder what that cloak's going to turn into.
a couple of cloaks. One just, riding the mech right now, but another on the bench. Not too sure. Could be Ionic Spark. Could be Runans for a Jingleee. We'll see. I suppose a bow would first be used as a giant slayer though in that scenario. But I do really, really want to, highlight just the fact that I think Barrybadden is playing this early game super, super well. I think this is a kind of strongest board scenario that not a lot of the players would be comfortable with going. But Barrybadden is actually so practiced on this composition. We see him running every single game that you're going to find these scenarios where, you're not going to get exactly what you want. So you're going to have to play things that might be a little bit unoptimal, but still make them work out. And Barrybadden's doing a great job of that currently.
A really good example of this maybe in another game. So I feel like that helps a lot of people, particularly with this game. Is like, say you're a fan of Summoner's Rift and you're watching LCS or LEC, and you're like, why did they just self counter themselves? Well, they're so good at that champ that they can play against them in bad matchups and know how to overcome them at different points in the game. And Rebel players and Cybernetics players seem to be that kind of mentality when it comes to this particular set. Rebel players like Fluffy, really showing everyone else how it's done in that respect. But when you drive the same route every single day, you can black out and make it home probably. Like your eye,
Yeah.
you could lose vision and probably make it home. And I think Barrybadden is living that example right now when it comes to this particular team comp and having mech available. And being able to transition in or out of this comp is actually really, really cool. Not something you see every day.
Yeah, definitely. MrBobert there, Leona 3 with a couple cybernetics there. Is a little bit of an awkward looking composition, but it's not bad though. Just kind of playing whatever it happens to have hit so far. Blue buff slams and stuff of the like. Barrybadden is 2 Ziggs away from a Ziggs 3. And it has a couple of Nikos though as well, which will be huge once he's able to find units like Jinx or GP even, if he's able to greed until then. And again, with a start as good as this, you're probably going to be able to do a little bit of greeting because you're sitting at the top of the lobby. Might level up to 7, roll like a little bit maybe, but maybe might not need to either.
So I don't want to pick on him, but Eren at 21 HP at this NPC round is, I think, the lowest I've ever seen. At this particular point in the game,
Uh,
has so many items. He can't even pick up the other two. Has to figure it out. Not running those Blade Masters obviously is a little lost right now on which direction to go, as he's on a 10-game losing streak. But hey, at least we got the interest, right?
yes,
Or the lost
at
streak
least you
gold.
got the lost streak gold. Yikes, rats. Kind of all I can say about, Eren's board state right now. I mean, I guess you've stabilized a little bit. You have a Nico on the bench, but like getting to this point where you're just like so lost and you're still rolling down with like 5 seconds left before the round starts and you haven't like picked up the items from the last neutrals, like there's something that went wrong there a little bit, if you're Eren. And I mean, winning that round though is huge. It means you have a bit more time to kind of take a deep breath and stabilize. You're not within one round of
Yeah.
dying, but like being 20 HP on wolves either way is like, man, how did we get here? Not even gonna have great items for the Jhin either. I kind of would have rathered just making a last whisper on the Jhin over a Thieves Gloves in the Wukong 1. I think that was a bit of like a, oh man, what do I do right now? I kind of just panic slam items because I'm just such, in a low spot. Teemo 2 now is maybe,
That's a
if
big
anything
deal.
is going to be the savior, yes, it would be the Teemo 2 though. But like, what do you make of these items right now? Maybe Celestial Spat.
I think Celestial Spat is just one of those, hey, I've got a spatula and I probably have it others. There's just enough celestial units that you find yourself with them in your comp a lot of the time. And a little bit of lifesteal for this particular comp is absolutely wonderful. And it's starting to finally come around. It's just Eren can't keep doing this. One time it might work. We might see him stabilize and make a top 4 because of that Nico's on that Teemo. But for the last 3 lobbies, he has at this point on every single lobby so far been the bottom fragger, right? Has
Yeah.
been in 8th place the majority of today, has been able to sneak into some spots before that because of a Master Yi 3, but this is not a comp that I think he is particularly well versed in coming into today, especially since we've only seen him play Blade Masters for the last couple weeks. And I like to see the diversity, but he doesn't strike me as, say, like what we talked about Wolfie earlier, who decides his comp by the items that he gets. Eren
Yeah.
usually decides, I feel like, from the champions that he sees a little earlier on and builds from there. But at least we've got the right items on one of the units here on that Teemo. That blue buff Morello should be a thorn in most people's side. And this is pretty much
Yep.
at its power level. We just need that Gnar.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, for what it's worth, the front line is going to be decent as well. I mean, having a ZZ Rot on that Nautilus, Celestial Spat for a bit of extra tankiness with the cloak there. Thieves Gloves on Wukong is solid. So you really just need Jhin items currently. You're going to want to, could have gotten a Force of Nature if you greeded out a little bit more there. But if you're Eren, you kind of can't play for that grade with the Force of Nature play, I don't think. So just grabs a sword here, I would
It is the
imagine.
most frustrating thing when someone
Yeah.
on carousel gets because your 8th place person is grabbing the force of nature most likely,
Oh yeah.
and then they're gonna die right after, so it's like completely wasted. But maybe that was intentional. That's actually not bad game design. Providing a comeback mechanic like that, that's not game
Yeah.
breaking. But
I like it.
Barrybadden did talk a little trash in chat earlier and is walking the walk, but seeing that this lobby is where it's at in terms of HP, it seems like either the lobby is weak right now or everyone's actually a little strong. And to see Barrybadden's board be this right now, I would probably say the former, especially since these are still tier 1 units on that mech. And everyone seems to be having a hard time with the amount of items that they are given right now as we're switching over to those rebels.
Man, what an interesting timing from Barrybadden there to decide to level on 4-5. It's not an interval where you're gonna have like, an even amount of gold to level up. Usually people do it, it's either 4-3 or on 4-6. I think I would actually hesitantly say that Barrybadden had enough HP to work with, that he could have just waited until after Raptors. Maybe thought with the, scouting around and seeing the power levels of everybody that he wasn't strong enough to, kill enough units for the next couple of rounds, so really wanted to hit a power spike right now. Even with hitting the power spike though, is still going to lose, just not as bad if he didn't make that transition there.
Maybe identified that
Yeah.
as
Ooh.
that's actually a huge deal, everybody. At home,
Oh boy.
hit the gangplank, gonna upgrade the gangplank as well.
And look at these
Jeweled
items on the
Gauntlet.
bench here.
Oh, gets the
Oh,
2 strikes too. This is this is
yo.
really good, everyone at home.
Okay.
This is what you call hitting. Um,
Just
you
hit.
just
Just hit.
just hit. And now, I mean, like, I think he was considering. Oh, he did he sell it? Okay.
The
Yeah, he
Zig,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
he
to
sold the
buy,
Zigs
yep.
for the 2 strikes. I mean, when you're investing that much into your Gangplank, you
Ooh,
better get 2 strikes in there. But are we even gonna see him ult? Yes, we will.
yeah.
Jewel Gauntlet, remember, so that's gonna be 2 opportunities to crit, and we're gonna see exactly that. Barrybadden setting himself up for a lobby win, which we haven't seen from Rebels in quite a while.
No, we have not. But if we will, it is with what Barrybadden is doing right now exactly. Greeting out and finding, I mean, it's a bit of a high roll, I guess, to find the GP that early, but still, hit it. Chose to use the double Nico on the GP instead of the Jinx or saving until, finding either or. And has 2 upgrades already with larger area and the double strike there. Double strike being the most important one, I think, by far. The one thing that is a worry, of which I believe led to Barrybadden losing in game number 1, is the Blitzcrank positioning. Kind of trolled the Gangplank a little
That's
bit.
right.
I wonder if oh my god, another Nico.
It's
Hello?
3. 2, that's 4 Nikos. You might
What?
as well just throw him on Jinx at this point, or pick up, or Asol,
And you
right?
roll a natural Jinx in the shop.
Oh my
Boom. Just
god. Oh
hit.
my god,
What?
he just hit! He just hit! Just hit, guys. Just hit. That's all you need to do. You just need to hit. That's how you play that's how you play TFT
If
sometimes.
on Barry if on Barrybadden's next roll, he, like, hits, like, a Brilliant Soul or something, like, I don't know, I can't take it anymore. Okay, it
We
does
won't
just double
get to
Nico.
see it, because what else are you gonna use those Nikos for, right? Especially since you hit the Jinxes, the Jinx Eye. But I wonder if the Gangplank's gonna end up AFKing like he did last time around with this Blitzcrank, because he took the scenic route to go 1 hex over last time around and ended up not getting a single ultimate off. Are we gonna get the ultimate off this time around? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, before the GA as well. So there is a little bit of a possibility for a second ultimate, but so much damage already with that Gangplank ultimate. And, he was already pretty strong for this point before this round, but his power level increased by like 6, 7 by getting 2 tier 2 5 cost units in 2 rounds.
Man, I can't watch the screen anymore. Get me off this. Let's watch, bottom of the lobby right now, PapaLev or Eren or somebody. Oh my god, thank you, production. That was just it's too disgusting to see that all those rolls happen right there. Like, he was already in such a good spot from how well he played early game and was just still rewarded. Like, actually, everything went right well there. I'd be surprised if Barrybadden doesn't at least top 2 this lobby. But checking in with someone a bit less fortunate now is PapaLev sitting at the bottom. Did slam that Shojin super early and didn't get another.
Oh,
I guess got another tier for the Star Guardian spot. That Blitzcrank though. Okay, I wanted to go away from Barrybadden, but we see him back anyway. Maybe taking out PapaLev here.
yeah, I mean, he is going to take out PapaLev.
Yep.
Yep, it's
Nico
happening.
can only do so much.
Nico can only do so much, and Nico does a lot. And PapaLev does get eliminated slowly but surely. One had a pretty good result in that first lobby, but as we've gone on, has struggled a little bit. And once again, Eren and Bobbert on the bottom side of the lobby.
Yeah.
Are you gonna lock for a Thrush 2 here, especially if you don't have anything else on your bench?
I mean, yeah, I guess you long for the Thrush 2 here. You can, like, buy the Annie or something during the next shop to pull in. Like, it's not great, but a Thrush 2 is, just a solid unit. And assuming it's gonna save you, you can get better units from subsequent rounds. Going up against Icandyyyy, though, Star Guardian's strong. The Shroud doesn't hit that much, though, but it did hit the Echo. That slow, getting an ult off there might be the difference. I'm not sure. The Vayne's kind of like pumping in the back, though. Double Giant Slayer and Last Whisper. Gonna be pretty solid here and taking out those frontliners, but gets taken out, though, by the Syndra and by the Zoe.
I think the sound I made was like exactly what Bobbert was
Oh,
feeling.
yeah.
In that point in time, you saw the cotton. It always looks like a fancy cotton ball to me when Zoe throws her ultimate, right? And it's like, pop. Oh no, like I'm
Yeah.
dead. As Bobbert does get taken out in 7th place. Eren in 6th. Thank goodness for Timo, said one person ever. Me right now, in the game of League of Legends.
Nah, all the Teemo stands say it every day.
I
Like,
know,
it's
right?
just,
I know, right?
oh
All you
man.
support Teemos that end up queuing with me for some reason. But very bad. And look at that. No question. that he should be on fire at this point in time. And I'd be surprised if he loses a round in the next 2 or 3 rounds before this comp either starts popping off. We are going to get a tier 2 Gnar. We still have Bard in for some reason.
Yeah, Bard in for the Mystic, I suppose. Like Nard 2 just got hit right there. Is there enough magic? I mean, I guess there's a couple of Star Guardian comps, so yeah, you want Mystic in to help against that. Gonna want to put that Celestial Spot on a frontliner just for some extra tankiness there. Can't run 4 Celestial though with 2 Celestial Spots. Kind of unfortunate. Either way though, going up against Jingleee here.
Yeah, Jingleee is got a Shaco, and that I think is the difference maker between these two comps right now. Is there's going to be a lot easier access in the back line, but the Teemo, for one, is going to be doing a little bit better than the other, as Jingleee is going to fall 1 level behind, or 1 level ahead of Eren.
Wolfey actually falling there right after MrBobert. MrBobert 7th, and Wolfey going to be in the 6th. Barely lost that though, -1 HP. So we see a little bit of a steady decline from Wolfey. We saw a 2nd place into a 4th, into a 6th. Yeah.
But the
Unfortunate there.
opposite for our friend Icandyyyy sitting in I literally just got the joke on Icandyyyy. It like just clicked in my head.
Good job, Boop. I'm proud of you.
I got there. I got my goodness gracious. Did you see it in my face? Like, oh, it's a pun. Right. Anyway, Icandyyyy is doing the opposite of Wolfey and PapaLev, finding herself in 2nd place and has at least a 1 round advantage on Spencer and Jingleee, who Jingleee and Spencer have both been very, very impressive today. Jingleee seems to be favoring that early game a little bit more. This particular lobby had to spread out just a little bit, but Icandyyyy did just lose. We've got 16, 16, 13, 6 for our everyone outside of our top 1. Is Icandyyyy seems to like Syndra.
Okay, I didn't really realize that this is what this board looked like until now. I'm just like, wait a minute, that's a lot of the same looking unit there. What's going on? Because I'm looking at the items, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm just like, who can these items go on? I'm looking at the units, I'm like, wait a minute, that's 8 Syndras, and 2 of those Syndras are where they probably, maybe, perhaps shouldn't be. Okay, interesting thing here. Oh man, okay. So if Icandyyyy finds the last Syndra, can choose to itemize this a few different ways. Could choose to have the Rage Blade, Chalice one in, could put the Locket and have the blue buff in there. Definitely wants blue buff, so I think, she's going to want to put blue buff onto one, put the others on the bench, and then combine it. Needs to roll to find it, though. Has 10 gold to work with. Could lose to 1 round here. Has 6 protectors, actually. That's pretty interesting. Maybe doesn't want to lose the protector spot there, so is like worried about finding the last one. I don't know. This is like, you're never in this spot actually if you're running this comp.
I've never seen this before. So this is the first time I've ever seen this. The Zephyr hit Zoe. That is perfect. And remember, Syndras do interact with each other with those orbs. So each time they ult, they're going to increase the amount of orbs that get thrown. But as of right now, that Syndra needs to be pumping out way more damage than she is. And this is exactly what you want to see now. Every ult should be a 1-hit kill, and it should be enough. If we're able to get 2 more ults out of that Syndra, that is going to be 1 there, gets 2 down. Will this Wukong be able to take down the Syndra? No, that last Karma ultimate is going to help them down. I don't think the ultimate was absolutely necessary there, but I don't think Icandyyyy wins that without having multiple Syndras. And I have said for so long, I would love to see like a period where there might be a unit kind of like Cross Spike, where having 2 tier 2s is better than having 1 tier 3. And I think in that situation, I think it does work out. But everyone at home, that's like a 1 out of 10 type of out of 10 games, that's only going to work probably this one time against these particular comps, especially since a lot of these backlines are so squishy.
Oh
but
man,
this trap claw though.
Yeah, Jingleee versus Eren here. Someone is falling.
What a wonderful march to top 4 for Eren, by the way. Was an 8th literally has been on the bottom of the leaderboard this whole time, unless someone has gotten eliminated. The Cosmic Arrow does hit the thresh pulls in every single unit on Jinglee's bench. Is there
Oh,
going to be enough? No, the
okay.
Jin is going to take him down, and this all goes back to when he rolled that Teemo, ended up Nicoing that Teemo, I think. That
Yeah.
ended up being the saving grace, especially with the Jeweled Gauntlet now. He lost 10 games in a row to start off this round, was at 21 HP at Wolves,
It's
to put things
crazy.
into perspective.
Yeah, it's crazy how this is the game that Eren like stabilizes, going those Blade Masters, you're gonna hit at some point probably, but sometimes you don't. But with Eren, he's choosing to go a more consistent, composition here. Maybe not one that he's necessarily as comfortable with, but it's going to be solid. And dodging the Barrybadden matchup until now is, huge as well, though. But this just goes to show the strength of Astro snipers. That Teemo can do a lot of work. Jin, a huge threat as well. Is probably going to lose this round though, just because of how disgustingly strong Barrybadden's comp is. But still, getting top 3 from that scenario is huge.
Yeah, and so Icandyyyy actually
Icandyyyy
wins
wins.
against
Yeah,
a Echo or Ghost, and it's going to be Icandyyyy once again in the top 3 against Barrybadden. I gotta give props to someone who's gonna say, "Watch me win," and then actually does it. Like
true.
that is some clout making type of statements right there. Really I might be becoming a fan right now, Khroen. I
Yeah.
love me some trash talk. That's why I like Mismatched Socks so much, you know? I don't know if you saw that video with Avli and Mismatched Socks that came out a couple days ago. The out of context editing was amazing
Oh,
on
I don't think
that
I've seen that
one.
actually. Let me
Yeah,
check
yeah,
it out.
I'll send it to you after this. But everyone
Okay.
should support Avli and her content creation
Oh yeah.
for TFT. But this is probably going to be the last round. Going to stick with the 2 Syndras on the board. Who will reign supreme, my friend? Barrybadden or Icandyyyy? I think if you were a betting man, you'd probably say Barrybadden, but you
Yeah.
never know how many orbs, how many dodgeballs they're going to have to try to dodge. That one-shot kill is so very important, and we already get an ultimate, which means the second one's going to be even more powerful. And right now, I believe we're getting close to one-shot kills on these Syndras who are still alive in the back line and actually doing quite a good job staying alive right now. We actually might see Icandyyyy pull this one off, and she does.
There was no GP ult that fight. That's going to, I think if a GP ult does go off, I think it would go the other way. I didn't quite see why GP didn't get ulti off there. Maybe it was something to do with
The
blitzcrank
Urgot.
positioning or Urgot as well. I'm not too sure. But Icandyyyy still has, at least 2 more rounds to go for winning, back to back. Cannot afford to lose any. Needs to position properly every single time. The Shroud is going to need to hit the majority of that clump there, and it is. It's not hitting the gangplank though.
Oh, that was a huge hit outside of like the most important one, right? So is this delay going to be enough? And we do finally get that
Oh.
ultimate. And with how squishy a lot of these backline members are, you were right. That Gangplank ultimate is all that they needed. Is Icandyyyy for the second game in a row gets shown getting second place as Barrybadden says he's gonna win, walks the walk after talking the talk. I love that as this lobby is literally anybody's game at this point.
It would have been a little weird, champ, if if Very Bad went into this game and was like, I'm gonna win, and then got another like bottom placement. But the fact that he followed through and got a first after that is, I can't help but be like, all right, you did you, man, you did you. Now do it again. That's what I want to see from Very Bad. Do it again. Um, as we check in on our scores, we see where the players line up at this point, and it's pretty
Ooh.
close.
Oh,
I'm
man.
liking this. Going to game number 4, we see Jingleee with 23 points right now at the top. Spencer's 2 points behind at 21. Icandyyyy, a couple of second places in a row, only 3 points behind Spencer's at 18. Woofy at 17 points, Barrybadden 16, Eren 13, PapaLev 8, and MrBobert 7. So probably not going. Yeah, we cannot see PapaLev or MrBobert here next week. Invited back, but still 6th through 1st right now. Only a 10-point gap between them, but even just looking at the top 4 here, it's man, this is intense.
As you see, I think one of the more consistent players, Icandyyyy there, it stinks, like, when you have, like, such an outlier lobby like that, 2
Yeah.
points in that first round. It's, you're always coming back, but Icandyyyy and the rest of, the top 6 could still win. It's
Hmm.
not just like top 3. The top 6 right now all have a chance to win. The only people who can't win are the 2 that are eliminated right now because they're more than 10 points behind. That's why I kinda like that 5-6 point differential. You wanna stay within that so you're in striking
Yeah.
distance of that top 3, which again, 6 of our participants are. We've got a wide variety of players here. We've got Eren, who barely made it into the top 4 there and probably takes points away from somebody like, Wolfie, that potentially gets them into the top 3, right? And
Hmm.
so when a player from the bottom moves up like that, there are consequences throughout the entire lobby.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as predicted last time, Wolfie is the unfortunate consequence of Eren's success.
Very, very true. We kind of see a little bit of flip flop in terms of the success or ramping up or kind of falling off as we've had 3 games so far. I think another interesting thing to note is that Eren actually he has been in the bottom of the pack so far, is at 13 points right now, so is within striking distance of top 3 still. With another good placement, maybe he goes back to playing that Blade Master style feast or famine and goes
Well, cursed.
first, and yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe has a high roll game though, or
Yeah.
just like an average game, and gets a solid placement and is going to get into the top 3 that way. We'll see. It's kind of a bit up in the air, but a lot can happen from here still. Like Barrybadden had a very dominant game there. Jinglee's been playing so consistently well. Over the course of tonight. Spencer as well. Having a bottom
Mhm.
4 last game, but still, the first couple of games were really, really good.
Yeah, unable to make that early lead in this last lobby, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to become very apparent that they need that early lead to set them up for a potential late game because I think Spencer won the first lobby, correct? And then
Yep.
and
Jingleee won
then
game 2.
and then in lobby 2, I believe he had like a 30 HP advantage at some point, and then top forward. And then this whole lobby was pretty even throughout, outside of Aaron, who ended up top fouring anyway. Um, and I think because of that, I'm so intrigued by what this last lobby is going to be like. How conservative some people might play, how Piba some people might play, right? That first or eighth, because now might be the time, right? Like I think there. I think there are 2 ways to go about this last lobby. You kind of say, all right, like there are too many people competing right now. I'm going to play my game and be focused, not do anything crazy. Or you kind of bring the heat on this particular lobby and throw a wrench into everybody's plans and bring everyone into an even playing field and make it about skill, right?
Yeah.
And how would you approach it? This is very, very interesting. I don't remember the last time this many people could compete for even just the win of the lobby.
Oh man, I mean, definitely got to bring the heat because this is going to be the last, tournament game on set 3
That's
we're going to be seeing
true.
here. So, man, like it kind of all comes down to this, how you cement your legacy as a set 3 player. And, asking me how I would approach this game from, so many people being in such a, striking distance
Hmm.
of this game. You kind of got to bring that heat. You kind of got to go all out. Like, consistent placement is great and all, and you can, be safe and get that top 3. But like, man, if I'm not first, like, might as well go 8th, like, really, like, you're trying to get that win, trying to go, really, really cement your performance, not only for tonight, but, as a set 3 player participating in that Galaxies for TFT, like, it's kind of what all it comes down to here.
Mhm. Well, and I think there are 2 things too that speak to this being the last tournament for Galaxies, at least for Fight Night Rising. Number 1, if you top 3, you're going to be in our next Fates Fight Nights Rising, which will be one of the first, if not the first, tournament that we see on Fates next week as we get nice Super Dense. So everything that was within the Big Vang Galaxy when we didn't have, we get a part of it. So thanks,
Sure.
Mort. These are all really great galaxies. I love these. But as I kind of go back to saying it, you're going to get an automatic invite to the first Fates tournament, and
Mhm.
that's going to be huge for you and your name making potential. Because a lot of people are going to want to play in that first weeks of Fight Night Rising,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It will most likely be one of the most popular weeks that we have. But the second thing is you will be the last person to win on galaxies, and you get to be the king of the galaxies here, king or queen
True.
of the galaxies, because Icandyyyy in the running right now for that top one spot. So
Oh, yeah.
king, queen, it doesn't matter. You shall rule them all, and it will all come down to super dense. This will be the last galaxy we see for set 3.5.
Man, part of me is going to miss galaxies. I think galaxies were a really cool concept. It's definitely a step up from, from set two,
Yeah,
Rise of the Elements. It's like, okay, elemental hexes, they're cool and all. The point of them is to change the game, make every, not every game be the same. But I think galaxies really, really hit and delivered with that concept of making, every game the
totally
playstyle you have
agree.
to adapt. We get Big Bang galaxies where we see comps that you could literally never do before. Even Trade Sector makes it a lot easier to run those reroll compositions. Super dense here, you can have an extra unit. You can get to those compositions, those late game compositions
Yep.
just that much earlier. Like, I love what it's able to do, and we're going to see a part of that here. It's kind of interesting, as you said, yeah, we get a part of all the Big Bang galaxies, but as a little separate portion of them. Didn't
And
get Treasure Trove, but
yeah,
yeah, I got the other two.
the other two we got, which is great. I think that's what we've seen today is a really good showcase of what Galaxies is and has been. I think it has been a little polarizing in terms of is it good to have this many changes? And I think, yeah, in terms of learning about the set and learning about this game, I always say when I give feedback to people, you got to know what a 12 is to know what Goldilocks is, right? You can't just figure it out with no context or data. And I think Galaxies, whoa, best one so far. Mister, I guess if you're gonna get me off my track, it's all about what you're wearing on your head. But I think with Galaxies, we got to see the extreme of one design choice, that we get to see the almost perfected choice in Fates coming up next. And I feel like Fates has been almost universally praised so far. So I'm
Yeah.
really, really excited. But we have to get there first. And MrBobert gonna, bring us into the last galaxy with arguably the best hat I have seen him
Huh.
have so far.
He's had some good hats. I don't know. I mean, this one's cool, but we got like hundreds more or 100 plus more to go. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of those, but maybe not next week though. If MrBobert, or actually can't even get to the top three anymore, so I have to have a little week gap for MrBobert's awesome hats, which I'm a little bit sad about. But so it goes. Hopefully, we'll see MrBobert in the future. Something interesting that we saw while MrBobert was scouting around there was Icandyyyy has a tier and 2 Syndras already. So, going to be seeing some more Star Guardian Sorks, I believe, there.
Someone likes their Syndras.
Yep. And the game is very kind to someone who likes their Syndras as well.
And I
Boom,
actually
look at
think this
here.
is a really good opportunity for Icandyyyy because for some reason, no one runs this comp on Fight Night Rising. I think this is probably this and Astro Snipers are the competitive quote unquote comps that we see the least of when
Yeah.
we get to our Thursday nights. But that is the advantage of someone who comes in, might not even know that information. Icandyyyy totally could have scouted and gotten that information, but say I went in and didn't and was just I like playing Syndra. You probably are going to be fine.
Yeah.
With playing that Syndra because max one person might be competing with you. It's just so hard. You can really bonk the early game with this comp and just get a little too far behind.
Yeah, potentially. We did have 2 players running it last game, and 2 players actually running Astro Snipers last game as well. So while we hadn't seen many people do it, randomly a couple of people decided to do it for either comp.
Yeah.
So maybe multiple people recognizing at the same time, like, hey, there's an opening here, so I'm gonna go for it.
Mhm.
Icandyyyy piloting it, very, very well last game, only losing to that Rebel composition from Barrybadden, which was arguably, not even arguably, it was pretty high roll. You can't even get around that. I mean, I always like to, praise the players like Scale, and obviously Barrybadden played it very, very well to get to that point. But man, was it a high roll late game to really solidify that first.
Within 2 rounds, he two-starred 2 5-cost units and his Jinx naturally.
Yeah, on like 20 gold or something, like 30
yeah,
gold.
4 Nico's helps. to help with those
True.
five five cost units, and I don't think I've ever gotten 4 Nico's helps, even when Nicoverse was in the game. As Icandyyyy now has the opportunity to potentially pick up some Chrono. Still laughing at the fact that I'm just now getting Icandyyyy. I was literally thinking about Apple products the whole time and trying to be like, where's this name
That's
from?
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I think right now this board is actually looking pretty good. Jay's such a good early game unit.
Oh, definitely. We saw, a round ago, or maybe it was two, but Jay's kind of just like one shot 3 units almost. Jay's just super, super strong. Having that Vanguard synergy in there, barely getting able to get the slam down there before falling over, but does, and it does just that. Boom, damage. Sorcerer buff there, gonna prove very useful.
If you're able to hit a early Jace like that, he's going to be able to fit into most comps because you could squeeze a Vanguard into almost every early game comp, and
Yeah.
to have the Jace there with the sorcerer buff, like you said, is pretty much a mage. At that point, with that spellcast damage. Once you get to that ultimate, that's where 90% of Jace's damage is going to lie. But I'd be freaking out right now if I was literally any of the top 6 on this first carousel, because every choice is 10 times more impactful in this lobby because we don't have any more, right? We are going
Mhm.
to have a winner at the end of this lobby, and every choice you make might bring you closer or take you further away from that victory.
True.
Oh,
If oh,
got the Syndra.
yeah, wow. All right. You know, if you were a betting man, Boop.
I sure am.
All right, good. Who would you bet on to win overall course of this fight night tonight?
I'm gonna go with Candy actually.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to the Syndras. I said earlier that I don't know why people don't run this comp way more often. I mean, we've got Fight Night Risings without seeing a single Syndra comp before.
Mhm.
Funny, we've actually seen a couple of them today. But in the end, I like the fact that we're seeing that particular comp run. I don't think we've gotten a player who has favored that comp as much as Icandyyyy have, and just like someone favoring a Rebel comp or favoring a Cybernetics comp, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
so I've really, really enjoyed seeing someone at
Mhm.
that skill play that comp in this way. And I hope that is rewarded with a W here. My next one would probably be Spencer.
Okay.
Even though we're still sitting at 80, seems to be quite the consistent player overall, and consistency usually brings you victories.
Definitely. I would say that it does, especially over the course of, a 4 game night. Pretty good, I would say, start here for Spencer. We look at the top there and we see, oh, it's been 4 losses for the past 4 rounds, but you're still on 80 HP. You have 40 gold right now. Like, you're setting yourself up to power a spike at some point really, really heavily. Like, being at 74 after 5 rounds of losing is not bad at all. Like we talked about earlier, like 80 HP at that point is kind of a high roll, but 74 is not too far off of there. And you're at 50 gold at that point. Maybe you're gonna have a mid game of some Vanguard Mystics perhaps or something. I've seen players do that and then go into some Astro Snipers. Ooh, we have a double Fizz there and a Rumble for Wolfey and win streaking at 98 HP. Might see a pretty strong performance here from him.
After you asked me that, and I told you my 2 players,
Yeah,
like, thought of Wolfie right after I was done talking, and I was like, "But him too!" And then I probably would have gone through the other 3 players,
true.
at that
Yeah.
point as well. But Wolfie, the one time I think we saw him at his strongest was during that mech transition a little earlier today, and I
Yeah.
like seeing him on this comp so far. And again, you are here to win this time around. Already beat his last performance by almost 10 points, I think
Oh,
already.
yeah.
And so to be able to compete for the victory now, what a great like Cinderella story that
Oh,
would be for Wolfie.
I actually sold the fizzes. Chose Econ. Econ too appealing over that mech potential. I guess the mech items aren't the greatest right now. So I could
But he
see
does
that
seem
being the
to
argument there.
decide his comp through those items, so it would make
Yeah,
sense.
definitely. Definitely does. And yeah, it would be like what, like a GA mech, and then maybe you'd get like a, you know, Titans later. It doesn't have any QSS items. So I guess with that in mind, I like Wolfey here, and that decision playing to his comp playstyle isn't going to get baited by that and just have no econ for the rest of the game. Like, look at this Darius right now. It's going to carry for through this early mid game right now, and he's going to be able to transition into something eventually. Going to be able to then use his HP that he saved as a resource, and just be super strong at that point. I wonder if it's going to be a Rebel Jinx composition though. Like, we see the Malphite, we see the Ziggs. GA is really good for a gangplank later on. Has the potential to make a red buff on bench right now.
The thing about going Rebels is there is a Omni Rebel player in this lobby.
Yes, there
And
is.
so if you go Rebels, especially in this particular situation, you are really risking holding hands at the bottom. I feel like Rebels do
I
better
mean,
at sharing their units than
yeah.
other comps, but still, you're going to be competing with someone who you know is going after those units. But that's also information, right? That you know going into it, and you can adjust your plays. So it could actually be considered an advantage by some people. You never know.
Yep. And choosing to slam the red buff there on that Irelia as the item carrier, I think that, as you said, Rebel composition is one that can support multiple players, so you're not going to be too worried about being contested there. Maybe it gets a little weird if there's, like, 3 players, 4 playing Jinx to find those Jinxes, but already finding the Jinx naturally right there is Wolfey. Wolfey is only 6 points behind first place, I think. So if there are some poor placements from Jingleee and SpencerZ and a couple of points, placed higher than Icandyyyy, Wolfey actually could run away with a victory here potentially.
Yeah, and I'm really worried for Jingleee right now because, again, when he starts off strong, that's when Jingleee competes. But sitting at below 50 HP, we saw Eren make the climb up the aggro crag a little earlier today. But this time, it's going to have to be Jingleee, who, again, for someone who starts so well, to see them at the bottom of the leaderboard at this point in time is a little hard to see, as Icandyyyy should lose out on this one too. Does not have that second tier, and honestly is probably like okay with losing right now, because you don't want to risk, I feel like, not getting that tier. And so when we get to this carousel, I believe she was able to make it to an earlier pick because of this.
Yeah, it's still a third pick though, and the tier is on a 4 cost unit. So if anyone, the first 4 players, if they do want that item, it'll be picked up pretty quickly. It looks like it's going to be left open to her though, unless MrBobert comes and snags it. It actually will do it
No.
there too. Truly tragic series of events there for Icandyyyy. It's always feels so bad when, like, it actually makes it to your pick, but it's on the other side of the carousel, another player takes it. It's just like, "Oh my god,
Well,
if I had just
especially
gotten a little
since
bit more lucky."
there's that, like, break point where you, like, see it cresting that halfway point where you
Yeah.
no longer have that advantage,
There's like, "Let
right?
me
You
out,
just,
let me
like,
out, let me out."
yeah, it's like Jack, like, after the Titanic, like, slipping into the ocean, right? That's what that tier
Oh,
was.
man.
Um, Honestly, very interesting, the fact that Icandyyyy has been moderately successful with, like, no items. Pretty much just units right now. I wonder
Yeah.
if no items in terms of completed items. The Jace is starting to fall off, but we're going to go ahead and add some protectors. Seems to really like the protector framework for getting to the Star Guardians a little later, but we may have committed to the Syndra a little too quickly, as the front line isn't necessarily
Mm.
protecting her as well as they should.
I mean, if you hit a Syndra 2 that early with a tier and you like running Star Guardians, it's kinda hard to pass up on.
Yeah.
We see SpencerZ there with a blue buff, Morello's some pretty good items there. Tier is gonna be taken, kind of playing spoiler. Eren as well with a blue buff as well. A lot of people actually have blue buff besides, for Icandyyyy here. Maybe a Syndra 3 in the future, though. We saw a couple of, Syndra 2s last game till the end, but
Yep.
might be able to level that one up here.
And you're going to go ahead and econ. We're okay with using our HP as a resource right now, especially since there
Yep.
is an NPC round coming up later. We're going to be able to get 60, 70 gold by the time we need to spend it. And I really do want to see a little bit more of Icandyyyy because, again, we don't necessarily get to see a lot of people drive this particular comp. And I feel like when we do, it doesn't tend to do as well as it has, as Icandyyyy has been able to use this comp as it's PapaLev on the other side. Again, this is our spoiler going to decide to use that Shaco, a unit we actually have seen very little of
Really?
today. As the Syndra is not going to survive much longer, a little bit too much upfront damage. And remember what I said earlier with this comp, like it can definitely bonk the early game.
Oh
There is
yeah.
just there's not a lot of beef, right? And if she was able to get the Soraka with the blue buff, probably sells the Soraka, maybe doesn't even commit to the blue buff until absolutely necessary, until you get another natural Soraka, because that heal is kind of what gives you like these quasi tanks
Yeah.
in the front line. And we were unable to get any of that. So fingers crossed, if you're an Icandyyyy fan, you want to see that blue buff and you want to see some AP items.
This is an interesting decision that Icandyyyy has to make here, but I think gonna choose to not level up that Jace actually. Now this is either, some good calculated restraint here or a little bit of greed depending on how you look at it. I think that has an option again to do it, but is not going to. And okay, the front line with the Jarvan 2 now and a Warmogs is going to be a bit better, so I don't think I dislike the decision to skip out on that Jace. It's gonna save gold in long run. Does level up the Ashe there, probably plays it as the eighth unit, I suppose, on the board here to get that celestial bonus. Yeah, it does just that. That's interesting though. Committing to level up one and not the other. I mean, calculated, I suppose.
We'll see if it's gonna matter in the end as we pick up some mech units, because as you can see, that Jarvan actually has some amazing mech items on it, and we just
Oh
have to kind of
yeah.
we have to just consider that right now, especially since you can put some of these units within that mech framework. But yeah, Jarvan with these items is going to be pretty good, and especially if it's just the Zinzao on the Syndra, I actually think Icandyyyy might have been able to make herself solid on solid ground here.
Yep. Yep. Mech items, but also good Nico items as well.
And against Bobber, who stole her unit and item earlier, so that's probably
True.
that probably feels good in a revenge way.
Definitely. Oh man, finds the Annie. I mean, so Icandy actually lost one econ there because of keeping the Fizz and the Rumble. So at this point, does that mean like you're looking to pivot? Like,
Oh, I
I'm
hate to
not.
be in this position. I really would hate to
I'm
be in
not
this position.
sure.
This is
Yeah.
very, very hard. We did see 6 Protector, 4 Star Guardian, and a second place for Icandyyyy in that last round.
Okay.
And eventually, Icandyyyy is going to have to make that tier into something. We are going to go ahead and commit to our Star Guardians as we sell our mech units off, because those items will go on Nico
Yeah.
eventually.
That they will. Gonna lose this round though.
Woo, 3-star
Jingleee
cog.
here. Yeah, that Cogmod 3 with double Shiv red buff. That is pretty strong. We saw, I suppose, Jingleee struggling a bit early, riding
And this
the
is why.
bottom of the lobby because of chasing these battle casts. And to some decent success, only has the Cogma 3-starred though. That's not something that we usually see out of Battlecast. Usually we do see a Lowy 3 or, Nocturne 3, Graves 3, but we're not seeing any of that here.
I wonder if sometimes you just like get a pack and there's 3 of one. You're like, okay, I'll just pick these up. It's the early game. I can just sell it later. For econ or something. And then like the next pack you get 2 Cogmas. You're like, you know what? I'll just pick these up. I have the econ. you know?
Yeah,
And then eventually you're like at 8 Cogmas. You're like, well, yeah, all of a sudden you have to think about it, right? Because this
true.
is this is a little awkward, but it's going to end up working out because this 3-star Kog'Maw. There's not going to be much at this point in the game that's going to be able to compete against it, the pound for pound. It's going to have to compete against, I think, all of the spots around the Kog'Maw to get there with enough health to finally take him down. So
Yeah.
I believe PapaLev has a Shaco that might be able to do it. A Syndra might be able to do it if the targeting is good, and we do have a tier on the board.
Yeah.
Will Candy doesn't take it.
Did she get a tier
She got
from
a
neutral
Jan.
round?
Maybe, and I think they got a Janna just then as well. So I believe that's going to be 6 Star Guardians for Icandyyyy after this carousel.
There's no blue buff on that Syndra for Icandy there.
wonder what
Hmm.
the choice is. I picked my horse and I'm gonna stick with it. So Icandyyyy, I
Okay.
believe in you. I believe in you to bring this dub home. Caster bias, I'm sorry. But Jingleee, now I was worried earlier because we didn't quite see his comp about why he was struggling in the early game. But like you said, we know why. We were chasing some Kog'Maws, and a tier 3 Kog'Maw should fill out this comp quite well. The spat is a little bit of a feels bad. Spat in this particular set doesn't feel as powerful as some other sets, but I think I like that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder how long this Kog'Maw is going to go for.
Interesting question, and I think it depends on the um on getting a rod or not, because the spat that Jingleee took there is very intentional, and really wants to chase that Battlecast spatula, and I think that's what's going to separate Jingleee from a top 4 and a bottom 4, perhaps, because I actually struggle to see Jingleee getting a consistent top 4 placement here without that. I think the Kog'Maw really only carries you so far over the course of this game. You're going to be getting one shot, against things like Cinders later on. You don't really have any defensive items, so you have a little bit of health and armor that the red buff components give you, but that's not really going to be enough. Kind of enough at all.
Not enough to get to 7 either. So we still need to complete the set here. A Battlecast spat will open up a lot of opportunity for Jingleee as well. But PapaLev playing spoiler. Eren, look at this. What a comeback. Gotta really appreciate that, by the way. It's really hard to do what Eren has done, which is beef 2 lobbies and then slowly climb your way back in the last 2. That takes a lot of fortitude and mental strength. So gotta definitely point that out. Barrybadden on fire. Wolfey, this is still pretty close. Icandyyyy, though, might be the caster curse of the century, and I will take personal responsibility for that if Icandyyyy does end up getting eliminated here, as Barrybadden does get the victory. Giantslayer red buff already on that Jinx. That's percent health over percent health, and
Yep.
it's gonna eat through most tanks pretty easily, as Icandyyyy does seem to stabilize. Bobbert, though, does not. Wolfey does also lose. Barrybadden seems to be the only one finding those consistent Ws.
Yep. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Barrybadden, the tried and true rebel composition here, even has a Nico once again to help get that Jinx 2 or that Gangplank 2, depending on what these next roles will bestow upon him. The sword is, a little bit trapped on the Aurelian Soul right now. Might take that out eventually if there is another component that drops here. But still in a good spot right now. 5 win streak, 47 HP. Can't complain.
Okay, doesn't seem. I think it looks like. Does Gangplank have any upgrades? It does not look like Gangplank has. That was something that
No.
we forgot to mention about how stupid Barrybadden's last Rebel game was that he also got both of the good upgrades
True.
literally right away.
Yeah.
So he was able to spend 16 gold after receiving that Blitzcrank to. And then put the jeweled gauntlet on. I mean, everything, literally check mark, cross T's, dot I's, and Barrybadden gets the W on that last one. Gets Jinx 2 as well without having to invest in that Nico's. Jinx 2 with Giantslayer red buff is going to be pretty tough to beat, but there is going to be some demos on the other side. Another Rebel player. It's going to be 2 Giantslayers and a red buff for Wolfey, and Wolfey takes down the Omni Rebel player in Barrybadden, and right now Wolfey should feel very, very good about that. That reveals a lot of information about the power level of all these comps.
Oh man, yes, it does. That was kind of a GP diff there, but also a Blitzcrank diff. Blitzcrank being in the corner allows you to potentially, pull a really strong unit there away. Gangplank took a lot of damage early on because it wasn't protected by that Blitzcrank, as we saw on the side of Barrybadden. And it was really just, again, GP diff allowed Jinx to get resets. Jinx had more items here for Wolfey. There actually was a little bit of interesting decision making that Barrybadden did there with the sword, whether to put it on the Jinx or not, because you're going to want to sell that Aurelian Soul to get that sword back and make a Deathblade eventually, or you could wait to see if you get a good item from the carousel. But The decision was to put the sword on the Jinx. I like that. Heading over to Icandyyyy, though. Icandyyyy
Oh
lost last round.
no!
Might lose this
No,
round too.
not after that crystal arrow. That is unfortunate, man. I would be heartbroken if like this feels bad. I'm
Yeah.
empathetic to this. Oh, that stinks. Because if that Syndra, I think, was 1 hex to the right, we still might be here. That crystal arrow hitting 4 units in the back line was not what Icandyyyy needed, and unfortunately, unable to complete the run back, will most likely miss the top 3.
Yeah, that is unfortunate there for sure. Cast your curse, Boop. Blaming it
I
all
know,
on you.
I'm sorry, everyone. That's the danger of asking for for predictions. It's like,
Yeah,
please don't say the one I want you to say. Please don't tell the truth. You know what I mean? And you know, that happens. Caster curse is real, and I think I need to just understand the power that it wields, man.
Ooh, MrBobert taking a huge hit there from Barrybadden. Oh yeah, we
Oh,
see a
Eren as
lot of
well.
full
Jingleee
illusions
too.
here. What has happened? So I think that does confirm. Yeah, it does confirm Icandyyyy as bottom 4 now with that 8th place. But man, what happened in that round? MrBobert -4. So in 7th, Eren in 6th, and Jingleee in 5th. Barrybadden another top 4 though. Kind
Might
of
have snuck in.
yeah, clawing back from the depths there a little bit.
Yeah, PapaLev doing like the evil pyramid fingers right now. Sitting
True.
sitting in first place. And hey, my second pick still in right now with Spencer at 39 HP. I think we're going to see Wolfey next week, based off of everything that we're seeing, because we saw both Rebel comps go up against each other, and unless Barrybadden got exponentially stronger or beat Wolfey to a Gangplank 2, which could happen because of that Nikos, Wolfey had the better Rebel comp.
Yep.
So Spencer, it looks like they're also running Rebel. Was that what I saw?
Spencer's running Astro Snipers, the
Okay,
two
okay.
Barrybadden and
Yeah, there we go.
Wolfey. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got Astro Sniper. I love the Rage Blade on the Teemo. That's
Oh.
going to make these ults pretty quick.
Yeah, PapaLev being the Dark Star player, though I haven't seen too much of that. And I don't know if we'll see it for too much longer. I don't think this Shaco is going to do too well with a Gunblade nowadays, as does get taken out by the Teemo Shrooms and then the Jin, and Teemo just cleans up the rest here.
Man. Also, just free XP right now. It's not really going to go anywhere, as we are already at
Yeah.
level 9, but we do need the Mystics for now.
The
We don't
most
have
important.
yeah. We actually, do we even need the Mystics anymore, based off of what's online right now?
I think against GP ultis, we do need them. I think it is pretty important if your team has a little bit of MR to live against those. Helps against Jinx when she, transforms as well and gets those rockets. It'll help, and against Aurelion Souls as well. So I think the Mystic bonus is a smart to keep right now, and you're allowed to with being Super Dense Galaxy and having an extra unit slot in there. Ooh, Zephyr on the Teemo there, though. That was really, really good by Wolfey there. It'll be maybe too late for the Teemo to get off damage, but no. Okay, this Jinx isn't able to reset, actually. And the Astro Sniper is kind of just running over this composition, Zephyr or not. Good placement, but man, that's a big hit, 20 damage.
It doesn't matter if you're the better Rebel comp if you don't face the other Rebel comp.
Yeah.
In this last round, I do believe, based off of like the way this goes, we might see that Rebel comp go up against each other right now, as PapaLev at 9 HP. Basically, I don't think we know our top 3 until the game is over, because of Barrybadden. I believe if he finishes in 4th and finishes behind Wolfey, he does not make it. But if he finishes ahead of Wolfey by enough, we'll let the mathematicians on in the studio figure that out.
Barrybadden's at 16 points coming into this game. Wolfey sitting at, I believe, 17 points coming into this game. Yeah, it's close. It's close, and these placements do indeed matter. SpencerZ as well actually matters for this. So we have a really, really intense top 4, little end of our set 3 galaxies.
Couldn't be better. I'm getting stretched out. getting stretched out for the last couple of rounds of Galaxies, folks. Not just the last couple of rounds for today, the last couple of rounds forever for Fight Night Rising. 39 HP in first place. Spencer on a 7-game win streak. Dropped pretty low to around 45 HP really quickly, but after getting the really good items on both that Teemo and some good items on Jhin. Last Whisper is always going to be pretty good on Jhin. We're actually seeing quite the dominant performance right now against these particular comps on the other side, especially if the Ezreal is going to keep missing his EMP onto that Teemo. One more ult. Oh, but the Teemo throws the shrooms in the wrong place, but is that going to matter? No. As you said, Jinx ran into the shrooms, even though Teemo threw the shrooms as a curveball. The Rage Blade and the blue buff end up helping him get there anyway, as Wolfey falls in 4th place. That might matter. PapaLev might be his saving grace, though, in the end. Barrybadden, 17 HP, and Spencer at 39.
Okay, this is interesting. I'm not going to try to do math on stream right now. Just going to see how the scores wrap up after this. But Wolfey getting a 4th place here. PapaLev holding on at 9. But SpencerZ is on an 8 win streak right now, seemingly untouchable in this lobby. The Teemo Jhin sniper combo too strong, and great placement here to dodge the infiltrators that are jumping into the back line. The Jhin is half HP still. The Teemo is relatively untouched. The Echo trying to get there, but not going to be able to do so. The Urgot, though, is going to pull in the Jhin, and can Teemo on his lonesome do it?
Basically the positioning here on the Teemo was pretty phenomenal. Now it's going to be a Mordekaiser against the world. There's no way that SpencerZ wins this. This win streak is coming to an end, and PapaLev loves playing spoiler, as Barrybadden actually loses by 1 unit, it looks like, on that last round, as Teemo 3 could be on the menu, especially at level 9. Too bad that extra XP doesn't equal gold at some point or something. But PapaLev at 9 HP, 4 Infiltrator, 4 Protector, 4 Darkstar, 3 Celestial, 2 Mystic. It'd be crazy if this particular comp won the last lobby. It's pretty weird.
It would. It's a little bit of a smattering of a lot of things that were good over the course of, set 3, but making it work right now, there's definitely a world where Shaco is still a strong carry. We saw the strength in that last lobby. It's not going to jump towards the Jinx right now, though, but it's RFC, so it'll end up right next to it right now. Can it find purchase, though? We see the Urgot starting to eat some units right now, but the Jinx is kind of just going to town right now. The knockup, though, from Infiltrator Ricard, and then the Echo ulti.
Oh no, Barrybadden is going to lose. How funny would it be if this is the new comp for the last week?
That would be very interesting, but I think it comes down to tiebreakers, whether or not Barrybadden or Wolfey gets that 3rd place spot. I'm pretty sure they end with the same amount of points right now.
Oh no. So basically, Wolfey and Barrybadden, we'll let you guys know if you make that top 3 here shortly. We got to do the math and let this lobby finish. So hold on to your horses. We'll get you those results, as PapaLev has the kind of 8th place sandwich, right? I think got 7 points in the first lobby, and we'll get at least 8 points on this one, and 2 last places in the middle. So a very polarizing type of day, but this is wonderful to see to end. And I think you said it best. It's things that have all been good throughout the course of set 3 and 3.5, but not at the same time. So this might actually be a wonderful way of ending this lobby, but this could potentially be the last round. Khroen, you take the call.
Oh man, what is happening here? Infiltrator is jumping into the back line, but SpencerZ Astro Snipers are still holding on for now, but not for long, actually, as they're taken out by the infils. And Urgot's going to assist in cleaning up this round. Not going to be the last round of Galaxies just yet, but the next one will be, though.
It'll come down to this next round. The one time we see Shaco carry, it might end up winning the lobby 9-7. 4 5-cost units in one pack, and of course, you don't need any of them. What do you do here? Do you sell a unit here, or do
No, please don't, PapaLev, no. You've won the last 4 rounds. Your comp's strong right now. Taking out a unit, I think, is gonna be big grief.
You thought about it? No.
Okay, if there's any unit to put to take out, I guess it's that one. It doesn't take away from any synergies. It doesn't take away from Celestial nor from Protectors, so I guess you can get away with that. Urgot 2 is going to be pretty huge. Maybe I actually like that. I don't know. Either way, the fight's going underway right now,
You
and the
pulled
two
like a
are getting
kombucha
taken out
girl.
pretty fast.
Yeah,
But
you pulled a little bit of a kombucha girl, and this is going to be the last fight of Galaxies, Khroen, as PapaLev unable to find the last victory against Spencer, who I do believe ends up winning today. And Khroen, how does it feel to be at the end of Galaxy, especially with the last round being just like that? You were so indecisive if you liked it or not. You should have went with your original choice there, but it's still pretty cool to see a non-traditional comp get second place in the last ever Galaxies lobby. It goes to show how honestly balanced the end of Galaxies ended up being.
Oh yeah, I mean, for the end of Galaxies was a lot of, a very versatile meta. You could play a lot of different comps, and you can even do some cool things like, that comp there that we saw out of PapaLev, getting that, what's it called? Getting that 4 Infiltrators, Shaco online, 4 Dark Stars, 4 Protectors, kind of a smattering of everything. But I'm still thinking about it. That's how my mind goes. I'm just like, was that the right move? Was it not? I mean, I don't know, actually. To be honest, I still don't know. I'm still thinking about it. It's gonna keep me up tonight thinking about if that was the right move or not.
You're gonna like be staring at your ceiling, and it's gonna be that exact round, right? Like replaying on your ceiling through through your eyelids. You're gonna dream about it. It's gonna be everywhere. But
Yep.
first, I'm really curious to see who won the tiebreaker for third place.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure actually who got second. So I know that Spencer's definitely won in terms of scores,
Ooh.
and the reason why this is taking. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Barrybadden had that first place victory, so does barely beat Wolfie out on the tiebreaker,
Oh,
but we
that's
do, yeah.
painful.
It is. But we do have our winner, THGSpencerZ, with a very, very dominant performance over the course of tonight. 2 first places, a third, and a 5th place. But hey, you've been consistent all the other games so well that you still earned that first place. Jingleee in second, Barrybadden in third, Wolfie rounding out our top 4. Icandyyyy almost made a comeback, but not quite. 19 points. Eren and PapaLev with 16, and then MrBobert. Unfortunate day. The man of many hats will not be returning next week, but hopefully in the future.
Totally agree. What a lobby, man. We had all of these emotions. We had, honestly, with Icandyyyy and Wolfie, that's absolute heartbreak in my opinion. When you come in and you play so much better, I feel like Wolfie should have been in the top 3, but unfortunately, because of a single placement on the last lobby, MrBobert will attempt. Not MrBobert, Barrybadden will
Yeah.
attempt to break that 3-week curse starting next week in Fates, which I think would probably be pretty hard to do on a new set. But we are going to be casting Fates next week as the set does come out the day before, thank
Yep.
goodness, on the 16th. And, I don't know if we're going to get an interview today, but I think now that we have the closure of Galaxies, it's time to say goodbye, Khroen. Do you have any
Oh
parting?
man. Parting words for Galaxies. I've liked this. I've liked Galaxies a lot more than set 2. Set 1 was still really fun, but I'm definitely kind of just like excited to move on to Fates right now. Like Galaxies was super, super cool. I liked the fact that Mort and Riot are so open with the community and willing to take a lot of feedback and take that direction in the design choice and just really make TFT a great game. We saw a lot of that in Galaxies, and we're going to see even more in the future with Fates.
I'm so excited for Fates. I have been over the moon about the chosen mechanic so far. And the changes that more in the team have been putting into the game, I feel like have all been pretty legitimate. They've been very, very hands-on. So when this launch does go live, it's going to be amazing. The aesthetic is
Oh yeah.
beautiful. The arenas are react to how well you're doing. So Ari can make
Yeah.
fun of you for losing, right? In Fox form. And we have a group emote. Like, how cool is that? And if that's the type of if that's the type of creativity that we're going to continue to see from this team, I'm over the moon on what possibilities we have. But speaking of someone who might be over the moon, it's going to be SpencerZ. Are you on the line, my friend?
Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh,
Oh,
hello.
hello.
How's it going? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Khroen, you got any questions for our winner today?
Yeah, I mean, Spencer's, rounding out set 3 with a bang here. You've played really, really well over the course of tonight. I kind of want to ask, start with just a general question, just like how are you feeling about set 3 in general? Did you like the set, as yeah, just your overall thoughts, kind of talking about that a little bit just recently, wrapping out this set here. So, yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, it was a pretty good set, though there was like one patch I disliked, like the J4
The Dark
patch.
Star
True.
patch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. It was like overall good set, but then near the end it just started like getting stale because there wasn't anything to play for at the end, I guess, after
Yeah.
Worlds.
True,
Yeah.
true. I mean, played for a little bit here with Fight Night Rising though, so got to end off with a win. How does that feel for you, at least here? Getting that probably last tournament of set 3 and being able to become victorious in that.
It feels great actually.
I
uh,
mean, I could only imagine how it feels to not only say goodbye to galaxies, but to say goodbye as we were saying before. Whoever wins today will be the ruler of Fight Night Rising's galaxies. So, what are you going to do with all that power now that you have it?
mm, hopefully I can continue on winning in set 4, I guess.
Nice,
True.
nice. Is there
Yeah.
anyone? Is there anyone that you saw today that um, that you were really, really impressed by? Because I think overall today the lobbies were actually pretty nutty. Everyone below you was trading places every single time. You were by far, in my opinion, the most consistent player that we had today. Was there anyone else that you kind of were like, oh, if there's someone who's going to take me down, it's going to be you, and why?
I think it was one of the EU players. I don't remember his name. Is it Jingleee, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about him, because I didn't really know what he was gonna play, I guess,
Uh huh.
or like the EU strats or anything like that. So yeah.
So this is my last question to you is where do you want to go from here? This is a pretty big deal. A lot of people get started here in Fight Night Rising by winning a couple lobbies in a row, and you will be invited back next week to play in Fates. And so what's the next step for you? What do you want to accomplish by like mid set on the next set?
I would like to, I guess, get more known in the TFT community, I guess, or and maybe grow my stream, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. This is exactly how you do it. Any parting words for my friend Khroen here?
Uh,
Uh oh yeah. Real quick, another question. Have you played any of set 4 yet? Any of the PBE?
yeah, I played a lot of in-houses with Lobby
Okay.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's all I've been doing like for the past like ever since it came out early, pretty much.
Okay,
So yeah.
nice. So yeah, you've been grinding. What are your first initial impressions of set 4? Like, what are you most looking forward to about this new set?
Like it definitely brings back like the set 1 memories where you just just play whatever, like anything you want and still clutch out a win. It's like everything is
Sure.
like broken, I guess, but then there's ways to counter it, I guess, so then you can clutch out the win. Like,
Since
Mhm.
everything is broken, it's technically balanced, you
Yeah,
know?
everything's broken, nothing is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
well, congrats once again, Spencer's, on winning Fight Night Rising. Talked about the fact you wanted to build your stream. Have the opportunity right now. I want you to, shout out your stream, social medias, and then, any parting words for viewers, fans, and the like.
Uh Twitch is THGSpencerZ, and I guess like thanks for all my viewers that are like watch, I guess. Mhm.
I'm sure they can feel that thankfulness from you right now. I don't feel like a lot of people get first place without that kind of support, whether it be from their stream or from their family or from whoever you need it to be from. But I'm glad you were able to show your skill today and show that you have the potential of growing that stream and growing your community by continuing to fight here on Fight Night Rising. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations once again.
Thank thank you guys for hosting it and inviting me to play. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
you're gonna get another invite in the mail. Do people do that anymore? Um, for Fates next week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh boy,
Send you a letter.
Spencer
Cronin.
Z.
I'm gonna
Already.
send you a letter. Yeah, through the regular mail. and see how long it
That's weird, Boop. This is 2020. Get with the future. The
Hey.
future of TFT was set for Fates next week. I'm so excited.
So exciting. You know, it's funny, like, it was nice to cast Galaxies for one last time, but I'm so excited. I think Fates is the competitive set TFT has been looking for a really long time. I don't think it is there just yet, but the way that it's going right now, I think it's going to be pretty great. So for the Last of Galaxies, I'm really happy about the set in general, but I'm definitely looking to see where our fates are going to end up in the future.
Definitely. I am very excited about that as well. Man, I've been waiting for this set for a long time, and we're finally going to get to see it next week. But we have 7 days until then. So for now, we will be signing off. So take care, everyone. We will see you next week here on Fight Night Rising.